Huh. They're going to record me.
Yeah, that must mean
Here's another one.
Dave must be in the house.
Here's another one. I can't hold.
And there's the big guy.
And he showed up and John breaks it.
No, I've got it. There it is. Finished on both sides. It's a
That's
disc.
cool.
It's
That's
a disc.
nice.
It's only about 3/16 thick. Can you see it? Can you see it there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's only about not over 3/16 of an inch thick. It's a little tiny bit thicker in the middle, but there was a hole drilled in that, and cherry plugs put on.
Hold it back to you, Mr. John.
There, maybe you can.
There you go. Now you can see it.
Yeah, okay. I'll bring it a little closer. Can you see it all right there?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
Here.
that's gorgeous.
I'm not spotlighted. There's the other side of it. And I'm making a whole lot of those. They're about maybe 1.25 inches in diameter.
Nice.
There's two charities that I make other ornaments for, and that's why I'm
Very
making
good.
these
Very good.
look a little different. And then
Hello
my
there,
niece,
Edward.
Good evening, sir.
Eddie,
Good
we got
evening.
a new member. I was just talking to him, and I mentioned your name, and he doesn't know you yet, so I want you to tell him hi. Alex, he's from New Mexico. Let's see if we can bring him up.
Alex.
There we are.
I'm here.
Talk a little more, Alex.
Okay.
I got it. I got him up.
My name's Alex from Alamogordo, New Mexico.
He's a brand new turner. He just bought a lathe.
Just bought a Harbor Freight cheapo, and I turned out, I guess, 50 little pestles for my first little thing, but I didn't bring them in here to show you because I didn't think I was going to have the camera on. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at. Just doing some spindle work, I guess. I just bought a chuck and I'm about ready to jump into bowls. So
All right. We're going to be here a couple hours. If you'd like to bring one in, go ahead.
all right. Okay.
Alex, what kind of work have you done in the past?
I was in law enforcement for 30 some
okay.
years
All right.
and retired about 2 years ago. And my wife does clay, she ceramics. So she wanted me to get the lathe to make these pestles for her mortars. If you all know what
oh
mortars are.
yeah, I've heard of that.
So I made all the wood pestles and she made all the mortars out of clay, and then we take them out and sell them, and among other things as well. So
And you're doing something you love.
doing something to play around and have fun and not leave the house anymore. So just to stay around.
Thank you for your service, Alex. My husband's LEO too, so your family.
And that's coming from a member that we haven't seen recently.
Was that Kim?
Hey, how are y'all?
Hey, how you been?
Kidney stones. If anybody's had those.
Oh my
Oh.
God.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, mine unfortunately are caused from eating a tub of Tums every week because I've had chronic acid reflux since I was 6 years old. So about every 3 or 4 years, I go down, giving birth to rocks or diamonds or whatever it is my body's creating with those Tums. So yeah, it's pretty painful. This time it's like a week and a half worth of rolling around in the floor like a sprayed roach. So I'm getting better, thank goodness. Unfortunately, the medications they put you on, I think, have more of, they give you more problems than what the kidney stones do. So recovering from that in itself is fun. But
Hey, you're preaching to the choir on that.
I've had those, girl. You don't want those.
when you were talking about your dizziness, like five out of the 7 medications they gave me caused dizziness. So I literally couldn't even walk across the house without feeling like I was just going to bounce off walls, nauseous constantly. It was nuts. And I finally just said, forget it. I'm going to cut it down to just the antibiotics and the important ones, that are going to help get me through this. I think they gave me sugar pills for pain pills because it didn't do anything. I'd rather go to the hospital and just get an epidural, claim that I'm like really giving birth, and then that way they'll give me the real stuff. Uh, but anyways, yeah, I feel you with that dizziness, Eddie. It was hell. So, anyways, I'm back. And
Mine was a combination of that and I had floaties in one eye so bad, I kept looking around to see who was walking up on me.
oh my gosh.
So I went out the other day to play around on a lathe, and the whole morning I kept doing this and realized I can't concentrate. I got to walk away.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the worst. Tell you. Ugh, if anybody's had kidney stones, I feel you. If you haven't had kidney stones, praise the Lord.
Yep.
I
Haven't had
do.
one in 10 years. I can tell you how to keep from having them.
What is that?
You drink a bottle of water before you go to bed at night, and you keep one on your headboard. And when you wake up, you drink water at night. At night, it's very critical that you stay hydrated
Gotcha.
because you got all that time that you're not moving, and your bladder is and kidneys are nothing's moving, and it's just all stagnant.
Yeah.
And that took care. I haven't had one in 10 years, and that's how I fixed it.
You
Wow.
see, drinking is good for you.
Yes. Well, my husband gets on to me because I drink coffee and tea. And I says, well, I am drinking water. It just happens to have tea in it. I run it through the yum yum machine first. So I got on some new meds for my heartburn, and it's been since, like I said, since I was 6 years old. I've tried everything, and I guess finally found some medication. I haven't had to eat Tums in 4 days, and that is a record. Like, I have never gone without eating Tums. I carry a bottle in my purse. There's some in my truck. I mean, it's that bad. I can smell lemon juice and I will get a heartburn. I'll smell orange juice and get heartburn. And unfortunately, the acidic stuff helps you from getting kidney stones, and I can't have acidic stuff because of my chronic acid reflux. So praise the Lord, finally found a medication that's going to help with that. So hopefully all of the Tums that I have to eat that cause me to make diamonds will no longer have that problem. So yeah.
What did they put you on?
Let me go grab it because I can't pronounce it and I don't remember. Hold on.
It's just sort of like me. A doctor says, are you taking this and this and this? And I got to say, if it's on that list, I take it. If it's not on that list, I don't take it. That's the easiest way to go about it. And then when I get done, I ask for a new list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey.
it's nuts. And I don't like taking pills. I like to try to do things as natural as I possibly can. But with acid reflux, it's one of those things. I have ulcers, no doubt, from all of that. It is pantoprazole sodium, pantoprazole. It is a inhibitor, a pump inhibitor.
Amethasol? Amethasol?
Pantoprazole. Listen, I feel like the other day I'm carrying around my bag of pills and I'm like, this is just nuts. Yeah, and this one's the only one that has worked. I have tried. You got the same thing?
Well, I think it's the same thing. This is a OMEP.
That might be the generic or the
This is a
real name.
generic. This is a generic.
Yeah. So I have been on every acid reflux medication you can dream up.
My
This is the only
internet
one that hadn't
connection is
tried. I kind of just
unstable,
gave up.
Mary.
Okay, remember, everybody hears this conversation.
Yeah. Don't give up, because I went through esophageal cancer because
Yeah,
of it.
that's what I was kind of worried about. I have a friend that passed away from stomach cancer from acid reflux. So this is
That's
working.
awesome.
Okay,
far.
you got to know that Trey kicked its ass. Pardon me.
Yes, he did. There you
Kicked the
go.
butt.
Captain.
Amen.
Well, I've been cancer free for 7 years from it.
Oh, that's great, Trey.
That's
That's
Yeah.
great.
news, Trey.
Hey, Ronnie, did you catch that I got dressed up tonight?
I
Look,
see you're formal.
yeah.
I see that. Where's your tie at? Oh,
Here,
you
here,
have a tie
look.
on.
See, I got my tie on.
Marca.
Somebody in the club sent me this, and it's a Harley Davidson Eagle tie.
Oh, that's
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Excellent.
he did know I had to sell my bike, but this is something I can't wear a tie. That's why I don't work anymore.
Pretty soon you're gonna be going to Surges.
Side hack out, but don't fall over that way.
Yeah, we're having a good week. Really, it's a good week. We get rain every 45 minutes here. So somebody said a minute ago they don't have any audio. You probably can't hear me, but in your Zoom settings under audio, you have to pick the microphone and the speakers and then adjust the level. Go to the middle to give it a try, and then you probably get your audio back. And did you check when you went to audio if you picked your Zoom connection or your main computer connection? Because if you didn't pick it in the beginning, you don't have it now. You probably don't even hear what I'm telling you, but hey, it's worth a try. There's Doug. Looks
Howdy.
like he's out on the patio.
I'm on the deck. Yeah.
Yeah, in the beautiful evening out there.
Oh, it's great here tonight. Absolutely wonderful. About 80 degrees. There's clouds, but they're high. So we're in good shape.
Good. Oh, the rain has not been a real problem here in Southeast Louisiana, except there's some places that seriously flooded yesterday. I'm talking 3 feet of water. They got 8 inches of rain in 1 hour. But that caused some problems there. Here, I'm gonna have to get me a cow to keep the grass down. That's all there's to it. It's been
What
rough.
Eddie's talking about, we've got enough rain so far this year that it was the total for last year's amount of rain. We have gotten over 60 inches of rain, and it's not the end of the month yet, and that's about what we get per year.
Yeah, I remember in the early 80s, late 80s, I was building a huge warehouse about 2 miles from the house. It rained on us for 100 days straight. So bad, we could barely walk from the street to the place. And my boss kept saying, pour the driveway. It was too wet to pour the driveway. So, but it's been an interesting month, very much. I'm having a lot of fun, getting a lot of input on a newsletter. I mean, a lot of input. Okay, somebody's got some sound popping in. Playing with the newsletter, I've got a ton of photographs. In fact, some of the best photographs I have, I mean, really are coming from new members. And I say new because we don't do a membership roll. We don't have any way of saying you've been here and you haven't been here and all that. All we do is I see familiar faces, I hear familiar names, and that's where I'm going to when I talk about regular members and unregular members. And my wife asked me the other day if they were normal members, and I have to explain to her there's absolutely nothing normal about wood turners.
No, they're not.
No, you can't go down that road. So. But it's been a fun week, getting a lot done on that. But I'm hearing from you folks, and I'm going to take a moment, and it'll be later on. I'll remind you. But we only got 50 people in the room right now, and somebody's got something really wrong with their audio.
Or they have a bird in the back.
Yeah. All right, and I'm muting them out as I see that they're talking.
I
Okay.
hear a voice we haven't heard in a couple of weeks.
Who's that?
Matt?
Is Matt back in yet?
You muted him.
I don't see Matt's name.
Sounded like Matt.
Nope, I don't see Matt. Matt says he's been so busy, he can't spend any time with us. That's like Kim says she's been so sick, she couldn't spend any time with us. You see, you guys made a nice, sweet lady like Kim sick. I was telling you something a second ago. Somebody called me the other day and asked me, how do I get into your club? And I said, it's not my club. I don't have a club. You have a club. But I can tell you who's in the club. So if you want to contact him and talk about this, you can talk to Ronnie, Trey, David, John, Alan, Andy, Bob, Joaquin, Dane, Johnny, Alfred, Bob, Tom, John, Doug, Matt, Gary, Brenda, Kim, Linda, Susan, Ray, Bob, Art, Dean, Joe, Mike, and Robert. Just call them and ask them, because all those folks found like you did, that this is free. There's no membership requirements. We don't take roll. We don't have a secret handshake. And I got to talking to Dane today about demonstrations, because we didn't have one. Oh, we don't have one lined up tonight. I went to some, what I call the advisory team. It's just members that get involved. It can be you, but members who get involved. And I sent them an email and said, hey, Turners, they're all Turners, can you help us out with the demonstration? Well, we talked about this about a week or two ago, and we asked you what you'd like to see, and we made some notes on it. I'd like to do that more on the chat program. I'd like you to put in the chat program what you want for demonstrations, be it high, be it low, be it in the middle, tools, equipment, setups, cutting actions. I heard more this week about the cutting demonstration we got last week from Kay Bolger about uphill and downhill cuts. And one guys, he's been cutting for 20 years. He never thought about which way the cutter went to cut the wood. And he followed my advice from one time. He took out a pocket knife, took a broomstick and made a cut, and found out if he doesn't go on an angle, he's going to plow rather than slice. And he said, I played with it and thought, hey, just like Kane said, if I can start at the top and slide down, and if I'm going through a cove, I don't want to come back up the other side. That's a negative. So if I go down cove, come down the other way and meet in the middle. And if I got to correct it, whip out the scraper. Yeah. And don't even light me up for a negative rake scraper. Don't even start that, because there's a whole lot of people selling fancy cutters and tools and call them negative rake. And then you watch one of the world's finest wood turners, in my opinion, Cindy Drozda, and she whips out her skew and uses it like a negative rake scraper. A skew, nothing special about it. They've been doing it for centuries. But she pulled that out, made some slices, and improved the finish on a piece. And all of us turners that are seasoned turners know you can get a finer cut with a good sharp scraper. And if you put it on a bias, you get an even finer, smoother cut. And you never ride the bevel. That's got nothing to do with it. The shape has to match what you're grooving and or scraping or cleaning up. And you go downhill and slightly uphill because you're using a burr to remove the material. And it's a lot better for cutting. So for beginning turners and novice turners, or even seasoned turners, I don't want to put down anybody's tools, but give that a try. Put on a little bit of bevel and do it. See if the curly cues come out, because curly cues are your savior. If you can get that, you can go anywhere with it. And then another guy called me that he watched a fellow, and he's from Europe, and he was hollowing out a piece, and he had a great idea for sectioning a piece. He was hollowing out a piece, and he was using a bowl gouge that was almost ground to a bottoming gouge. It had very little slope on it. I imagine the cutter on the front was below 45 degrees. It was cutting, but it was cutting hard because he couldn't ride anything. So he was tearing out a lot of wood, and his finished product, he had to go back and repair a lot of the tear outs. Somebody talked to me about it, as I said, and I said, okay, here's the deal. That might be the only tool he's got. That might be the only tool he's good with. That might be the tool he learned with. That might be all he can do. So if you say, well, why didn't he use an Ellsworth type gouge with the adversarial grind on it, or this, or that, or another thing? You have to consider that some folks don't have this and they can't buy $80, $90 gouges. They can't do it. They're working with their Harbor Freight tools and their Ace Hardware tools, things like that. They are doing the best with what they have. The goal of this program is let's teach them how to do it,
Eddie,
no matter what you're using.
Eddie, that being said, Alex,
I'm here.
Alex, I see a big old question mark above your head right now.
No, I'm good. I'm listening.
Okay.
There were
Alex,
some of the tools there I didn't recognize, but I think I recognize most of it.
Alex, do you have a piece of pencil and paper right there by you?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna give you my phone number.
All right.
Hold on, Ronnie. Hold on. All you folks that sell car warranties, write this down.
Ready.
Alex, 504-669-7896.
Okay.
Tomorrow, when you're thinking about this meeting, you're gonna have a bunch of questions. Give me a call and we'll talk about them. And I'll either help you or I'm gonna put you on to people that will help you because you're gonna need a lot of help now.
I've always needed a lot.
Right. Right. Don't go back.
What you're gonna see a bunch of these people that you see here, they have videos on YouTube, and you shortly learn who they are, and you get them out almost every week. So they're gonna be able to help you some too.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we pride ourselves in that we're non-commercial Larry's tool to make this work. That's not the case. This higher grade tool may hold the edge longer, may be easier to sharpen, but you can use a regular plug plain steel tool and get there. It's just gonna be a little more work. So I never throw a tool away, never. And I got some really useless stuff out there. Dave Rhodes is our webmaster, and he'll put excerpts of what we talk about tonight on our website. And if you haven't been there, you'll be amazed at how great and well formatted this week. Last week's program is all there, plus excerpts from last week's program, plus excerpts of gallery from last week's program and all the other weeks. And if you look for these folks that have YouTube, they're on there too. Dave's in it. There we go. Dave, quit turning that thing off.
I'm having bandwidth problems.
Voice. I think he just likes your
Going up
voice.
and down.
He wants to get our attention. That's it.
Well, if our webmaster's having internet problems, how are we gonna get all this going? I'm sorry.
Will be somebody else's recording, and I can get it if I don't get a successful recording.
I record it also. And we've had a case where I've had to send it to Dave so he can use it. And Dave's also puts in a chat. That's why I put everything on the chat. And Dave's starting some stuff tonight. He thinks we need a secret handshake that requires people to put hands out, grasp another hand, and move it up and down like this. But I don't think he's talking about this other hand. I think you got to get a whole nother hand. But that's a good idea, Dave.
There we go.
Ain't nobody close enough for me to reach.
Yeah, Doug Smith says sounds like a good idea. Doug Miller says, who's that? Gary in Oklahoma's got a question for me.
Yeah, you were talking about the scrapers. How about the carbides? They don't have a burr. Are they as good Or how do we, if we're using a carbide instead of a skew or something? Can you
Okay,
kind of give me a little bit of a,
all right, I'm gonna give it to you in a short, quick way.
yeah,
When you present a tool to that wood has no idea, none whatsoever of what kind of tool that is. The wood's sitting there going, hey, what are you gonna do? If you turn that carbide up on a slight angle and pursue it, you will achieve the same thing as the gouge, the scraper, any other tool, because you're adjusting how the sharp edge cuts.
that's what I
So-
thought, but I thought we ought to include that in the total explanation, that you don't have to use a gouge or a skew, but the carbide would also be a possibility.
It is. It is. I really have to be careful around carbide and other tools. My company sells carbide. And I don't say ever that you can't turn without it. Some folks, turning with carbide is a great way to go. For a year, I know it's a year, I've been having folks say, I need to have that bevel edge. I really don't want to have a conversation with you if you keep insisting on that. What I want to know is, have you tried getting it off flat? It's a plow. You kick it up and get an angle. You know, I watched Kim do a demonstration yesterday. It's on YouTube. It's about cutting epoxy and a plastic combined, and she did an ink pen. All you folks kid about making ink pens, watch this video. And she used a roughing gouge. I think it was Thompson's. And I think that because she showed it and it had a solid shaft, which means when it went to the handle, it was 5/8 or 3/4 inch in a girth. And that's what went into the handle. There was no hinge point of weakness like your dollar store gouge is going to have. They bring it down and then they neck it down and get it into the same hole they put in any other thing. It's not made like that or for that. But she turned these pens with a roughing gouge. Now consider that. That was a roughing gouge. Bad name for a tool. Really bad name for a tool.
The roughing gouge is so underrated. I love it. It was the first tool I ever learned to use. And if, all different sizes you can do, as long as obviously doing spindle work, you don't want to use spindle roughing gouges on bowls and whatnot. I learned that the hard way when I first began. But yeah, that roughing gouge, or any roughing gouge, I mean, I had a Harbor Freight roughing gouge I used to turn pens too, but to me, I would rather use the roughing gouge than a carbide. And that's just because I learned traditional tools. So carbide they're very aggressive and bitey, and I'm aggressive turner as it is. So we clash. So don't feel bad. I've been turning I consider myself new, 3 years, and I still haven't got a handle on the carbide. So it is what it is.
That roughing gouge, I don't sharpen mine with a straight up face on it or blade on it. I roll mine back, not fully back like a long bowl gouge, but I roll it back a little bit, and I find that I'm cutting on the round and then up the shoulder, just like you do with an Ellsworth. And really, on a wood ink pen, I'll knock it, rough it out, and finish it out with one tool. And that's the beauty of it. And so if you're playing around, chunk up a piece of wood you absolutely don't like. It's ugly, it's useless. It's not really a 2x4 because that's not ugly and useless. But chunk up something like that and then play with your roughing gouge as a slicing gouge. Kick it up on the shoulder. I'm calling it the bias cut because we can call it anything we want. I'm saying kick it up on the shoulder and then slice into the material. Don't try from the end. Go in about an inch and get it started. Because once you get in, you can turn it, go the other way and go back. But it will give you a cut like you won't believe. Really. And it's embarrassing to folks that think, Oh, it's just for roughing or something. You plow wood out the way. And I've been in demonstrations where people have said that. They've done demonstrations on spindles, and the first thing they say is, you have to rough it in with your roughing gouge. Okay, enough for a roughing gouge. Oh, and that tool that Kim was using was a Thompson. Somebody threw it in chat just now. I have to mention this. Well, say Kim.
Doug actually lives about 45 minutes away from me, and
Whoa.
the way I
Hold on, Andy. Hold on, Andy.
the way I called him because I had a veteran having a hard time doing the Irish grind, and so I called him because I was wondering if he could sharpen the tool, like grind it to an Irish grind before he shipped it out. Because it's better to ask and them say no than not know at all. We ended up talking on the phone for like 2 hours. And the other day, it was last week before my kidney stones, he called me up and I said, "Hey, you gonna be home today?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You mind if I stop by?" And I was like, sure. So he actually came over to my house, my parents' house. We live here with my parents now till we're building our home. And he sat down in my living room. My whole family, we just talked and had a great chat. He loves this community. He's an amazing guy. And I felt like I was sitting in front of like someone famous. And the whole time he's treating me like I'm somebody famous. So it was really awesome. And he gave me a lot of great advice and told me about the tools and the trade. I mean, it was amazing for him to take out his time and sit with me. I feel like crying because I feel like that special because of it. Sorry, I got to brag, but.
Oh, it is when you deal with firms like that.
Yeah,
It's more important for them to be your friend.
Yes. And one of those kind of people that you can just call up and just be real with. And that's amazing that someone who has that company, he's a wood turner and he loves this community. He loves this trade, and it's great to see him support and encourage others like we do here, So anyways, that was a great experience. That's why I got that gouge. It was a surprise gift, and of course he customized it by putting my name on it. I seen someone in the chat saying Kim doesn't. It was custom made. You can have those done. You can have them engraved with your name and stuff on them. I'm sure that's really useful for people who take their tools on demonstrations. You don't want them getting stolen.
He treated my dad the same way. My dad called him up, wanted to order a tool, and he talked to my dad for almost 2 hours on the phone. That's just the way Doug is.
Yeah.
Seems like he did that with me many, many years ago. He was just really getting going, and I called him about ordering a tool, and we talked for at least an hour, maybe more, and he helped me understand. I wasn't sure what I wanted to order, and he helped me to understand exactly what I wanted. So that was good.
Yes.
See, if we go by the wives' tale, that somebody says, "Oh, you have to use this and you have to use that." Talk to the people that really use them, like Thompson. I mean, Mark Soleil. I've been to his workshop about 3 times. He loves that fingernail grind. And the last time I went to a shop, about 3 years ago, he resharpened everybody in the room's tool to have that grind. Not tell you about it, but he went back and shaped them all because that's what he used. And then he taught you how to use it. And that was good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a couple other notes. We're still collecting Freedom pens, and we have some really great stuff coming in right now. And I want to pop over here and see if I can show you. I got this photograph in this week. Now, that is a Freedom pen. Is that coming up? No, it's not coming up.
No, it's not on yet.
Oh, what's the deal here? All right, I'm on that. Tools. I don't think I pressed this button. All right, isn't going anywhere. But I have a photograph of a pen, and I'm seeing on my screen. You just can't see it on yours. I'll get it up. But it's by Chad out of Gibson, Arizona, and he has a tool business out there, wood turning tools. And he turned this pen. It's about 5 foot long. But we're still collecting pens for Freedom pens. All you have to do is send us one, and we will use it. We will donate it to our first sergeant, who is Doug Rowe. And Doug Rowe will, he will put your Freedom pen into the collection that goes to troops. Now, I think I finally got it up. I was running my mouth. Let me go back to that. There you are.
That pen ain't gonna fit nobody's pocket.
Chad Schimmel.
Oh, heck no.
Birdhouse.
Hold on. I want to pop that back and lock it. All right. That's who you say, Dane?
Chad Schimmel, Turner's Warehouse, Chandler, Arizona.
Wow.
That is a beautiful piece of work. And I see that photograph was taken at SWAT because I recognize the background. So beautiful piece of work. And that's a chunk of, that's a lot of money wood. You ain't making that out of 2x4. So
I don't know.
Sounds like a challenge, Ronnie.
it is a challenge.
That could be plywood. I don't know.
Might be plywood. Boy, I tell you what, we did all right. We did okay without Matt in here for a while. Good to see you in the pocket, Matt.
Thanks, Eddie. Sorry I missed last week, but I was in a place where I didn't have good internet connection and couldn't make it happen.
Hey, it's okay. We missed you. But like we all say, it's not mandatory. It's just sitting on the back of the truck talking wood turning.
I appreciate it. Good to be missed.
Gary Hoffman says he's got some pens for troops I turned today. Thank you, Gary. The address which you send those to is on our website, Freedom Pens, and send them on to Doug Rowe, our first sergeant. He won't be with us tonight. He's out saving our freedom or protecting our freedom. So, but we'll see Doug next week. Don't think he got a garage door yet. So, but Doug's, for yours not understanding that comment, Doug is building a new shop, and his delay on finishing the shop is getting a garage door to match his existing garage door. So they're working on it. It should be, it's en route. You know, that means we'll get around to it when we can. All right. Anybody else got, we got a little time here tonight, 6:33. I don't think Dane is in the house yet.
No, I'm here.
He's there. All right. Then somehow you got made into a co-host. Yeah, there he is. He wasn't in there. Now he's in there. Dane handles our gallery, and the way we do this is fairly simple. If you've got a piece to show, if you got something you want to talk about, you have a question, you have a comment, all you have to do is throw it in the chat. And Dane will go to you and say, right now he's going to talk to Matt Harbor about such and such. And Matt knows all about such and such. But that's how you get into the gallery. So, Gary Hoffman says he did 9 today and he'll do 11 more tomorrow. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. And we're still looking for input on wake stands. If you turn a wake stand, just let our webmaster, Dave Rhodes, know. Put it in the information part of the website. There's no competition in that. There's no requirement. We don't have a goal. This is an open challenge, which means just turn it, give it away, and let us know you did it. And we had some beautiful ones. I see Joe Klein in the box tonight, and he did a pile of them. In fact, the place who was giving them said, hold off until we have a need. But Joe ain't going to give up. He's going to go find another outlet for him. Rich Borger's got some weak stands to show. Dane, can we pop in Rich?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Go ahead and start talking to us, Rich.
Here I am.
There he is.
There you go.
Rich, you're on.
I made 4 of these over the weekend. Here's one of them. I did a little logo. I don't know if you can read it or not. It's kind of hard to see on there, but I got worldwidewoodturners.org on there with my name.
Wow.
There's one.
That's nice.
It looks nice, Rick.
Yeah, it's
Looks
very
good.
nice.
Those are pretty.
Same way.
That's pine, or has it got a little cedar with it? It's got a little fat wood. It looks pretty.
Yeah, this is all 2x8s and 2x6s construction lumber. And
Nice.
the ones that are reddish looking, that was pretty hard wood. It was going the tools pretty fast. I got 2 more of them out there that I'm putting a finish on them right now, and then I'll have them done.
Okay.
Nice
Dane, if
job.
you-
Those are beautiful.
Thank you.
And if you can see, he earned a warrior.
All right.
We'll pop it up there. There you go.
All right, guys.
Very nice.
Thank you. That's what we're looking for. Member involvement to help our project and help out our community. Jacqueline, is it? I can't pronounce the name, but he's got a couple of natural edge pieces to show tonight.
Yep. Trying to find his name in the list here to bring up. Go ahead and start talking to us.
Hi. I've been chopping up a cherry burl, and let's see if I can reverse my camera. So here's the first piece I made. I was channeling my inner Cindy Drozda.
All right, we still don't have you.
What's the,
popped up.
guy, if you make me a co-host, what's the name? They're in alphabetical order.
Right.
Usually.
It's not showing up under the J's. That's the issue, Matt.
That's where I have it at.
Oh,
All right, I'm gonna spotlight him this way.
There we go.
Oh,
There you go. Oh, I saw this piece on
yes,
That's
sir.
Facebook.
gorgeous.
So that is African blackwood. This is all part of the same chunk of cherry burl. It's a lidded box. It's a little tight. I kind of matched if you look inside, you can see that you've got some rough burl. So I kind of matched as best I could for the box lid. That is a little less than 1/8 of an inch thick. And it was really shaky. That is Coco Bolo, walnut on the top and the bottom. And so that's the first piece. This is also from the same chunk of burl.
Oh my.
Wow.
Beautiful.
nice.
I finished this one yesterday.
Nice.
And this is actually 2 pieces of wood. And again, I tried to make sure that I kept some of that natural, just rough chunk of wood, you know. And what's really funny is, as I was flipping through the page today and came across the finishing with oil video, the discussion. This is finished with not Danish oil. What? I hate my
Linseed or
brain.
linseed or tongue oil?
Tongue oil. This is pure tongue oil. This one is finished with X, with the abrasive paste and wax polish and OB shine juice.
They both have a great
And-
shine on them.
They do. Honestly, I wish I had a buffing system. I think I could really get a glow out of this.
Before you go buy a full buffing system, if it cost is involved, check out a lapidary store.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Or Mark Soleil.
Yeah, Mark Soleil.
Mark
Yeah,
Soleil.
okay. Which, by the way, without having seen Mark Soleil's video on slicing wood, this wouldn't exist. His techniques for using the tools have really helped. I mean, you can't feel this, but this is like glass. And I didn't have to sand below 320 grit.
If you slice it right, you'll do less cutting. I don't see any tear out.
No, sir. And that's something I've been really focusing on is same here. If you look here, same thing, using the slicing techniques. And this actually right here, I really had to work this section. The burl cut like butter. This part cut with no problem. Come around this corner, and this right here tore out, and I had to resharpen and slice and resharpen and slice about 4 times before I got a clean cut here. I was spinning the wood the wrong direction, according to it. But just really being patient and very light and using that slicing technique with my bowl gouge. And as you can see, it you can't tell there was tear out.
It changes your opinion on how you cut wood.
Yes, sir.
Or your technique.
And how you focus. It changes how you focus.
Yeah. Gouges are not gouges. They're slicers. But that's a beautiful piece. Really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Would
really
love to have you know what I'd like to have? A photograph for our website and our newsletter.
No problem. Of course, I don't have my pen. Wait, I'm working on a resin project. I'm making meat mallets with persimmon and resin, and as you can see, there's a lot of bug damage. So I've been drying and making sure I didn't have any live passengers. Who do I email that to?
Worldwide woodturners@gmail.com.
Okay. Done.
We made it simple. And like our website is www.worldwidewoodturners.org. And we jumped on that boat 2 years ago, real early, to make it easy for folks to get in, get involved, send us information, and we use it. You send us a tip or a hint or a photograph or whatever, it goes on our website because it's your website. Pardon me, it's your website. Now, I heard a minute ago, or see it in the chat, that Joe Lesko, he's a regular. He says in Rocky Mountain Woodturners out of Loveland, Colorado, made and donated 230 plus wig stands for the American Cancer Society and oncology departments at local hospitals. That is a great move. That really is a great move. It really counts right here. It counts right here. I don't know. There's no money. There's no trade. There's no guarantee. There's nothing else. It just feels good right here. So, and Sandy Silverdale's in tonight, and I see Susan's in here, and a handful of other folks. Remember, all these people are just like you. They're wood turners interested in sharing wood turning. Anybody up, Dane?
Yeah, we got Bill Goff coming up next.
Ooh, I like Bill's stuff.
Bill, go ahead and start talking while I bring you up.
There he is.
Yes, a couple weeks ago, I showed a couple of birdhouses that were toothpick holders, and I've taken that maybe a step a little further. I've made a lighthouse. Let me get this out of the way. A lighthouse that is also a toothpick holder.
Wow.
So you can set that down. I've got a light that blinks on and off. I've named it Goff Shores, kind of a play on words, kind of a name.
Oh my goodness.
And it was a fun project. It was a learning curve. I looked at a lot of lighthouses on the internet to get ideas what a lighthouse looked like. I took some of the features of the ones I liked and drew them up on paper, and then I made a little electric module. There's a circuit board in here and a couple 3220 batteries that and the lightning rod is actually a switch. Pushes a let me find the hole here. There's a little teeny hole in the back that you put the lightning rod in, you push it, it turns off the light and turns on the light. So
Okay, now you're embarrassing me.
now you take the lightning rod, you put it back in the top, and then that stores it, and then you got your light that blinks on and off.
That is gorgeous.
That is a
That
project.
is awesome.
Yes.
down
No,
here.
we have the photographs for the one you showed us a while back.
Yeah.
I got them today. We'll be putting them in a newsletter.
Oh, okay. Just as a refresher, if it's, this is what we showed a couple weeks ago. That was the Birdhouse toothpick holders. I'm kind of in a rut. I'm making toothpick holders. I've got one more in mind that's going to be different. It's still in my mind. I'm going to put it on paper and turn it. It's going to be different. I like to make things a little different.
Great.
Nice.
That's kind of where I'm at.
And you're good at it too.
Boy, that's
Oh,
beautiful
yeah.
work.
Comment.
That
That's
is great.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
fun. There your toothpick. There you go.
Yeah.
Wow, we get some things on this program. Wow. And you know, what we're still looking for is a better photograph of that fishing reel. I said this last week. We don't know who showed it to us because in my replay, the names don't necessarily come up. But somebody turned a fishing reel, looked like a pen, and it worked. It was gorgeous.
Eddie, that was Greg Bray, his one of his students. He's in tonight, I believe.
Yeah, I
he's
saw
coming up
Greg. He's
next.
got something to show. Let's go to Greg.
Yeah, let's go to
All right.
Greg.
You hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Greg.
Yeah. Here's a picture of that fishing reel you was talking about.
Yeah, right there, right there.
Wow.
Look at, watch him. This thing works.
And yeah, it turns. And this was one of my students. He took a class from me about a little over 4 months ago, and he's called me and he said, "Are you at home? I need to stop by and see you." And this was actually his 7th one that he's turned, and he had never touched a lathe before 4 months ago. And he is just on fire. He's into making fish baits now. He called me the other day and sent me some pictures of some fish baits and stuff, and he's doing well. And I've invited him here, so I look for him to show up one day.
We'd like to get a really great photograph of that to add to our newsletter and website.
Well, I'll take a picture of it. I'm rebuilding my photo booth. Some wood fell on it and it crushed it, so I'm in the process of redoing that. So I'll get you try to get that done this week. But here is the piece I've been playing with this week.
Oh, I got a photograph of that. That's a killer.
And it's a lidded box. I guess it's a natural edge bowl upside down with a lid on a pedestal. And I haven't glued it together yet. Let me take it apart. And of course, this was a piece of cherry, and I ebonized that, and the top was a piece of cherry. And what I used to ebonize wood with is leather dye. And you can just put that on there, just a couple coats, and it is just so easy. But you know, of course, the underneath side, I turn it, and it fits right down into the pedestal. And I'm going to glue this together this week. But this is just something different. I had a piece of burl laying under my bench, and I got tired of picking it up off the floor every time I knocked it over. And this is what I come up with.
It's a beautiful piece of work.
Yeah, it works out.
Love that.
Looks good.
Yeah. Tom in East Tennessee said it looks like a shroom.
A what?
A shroom.
A shroom.
Shroom.
Good work.
But a couple of weeks ago, I showed you that little pedestal dish with scallops on it.
Yep.
And I left my number in the chat for someone to call me. I'm having trouble doing some videos in the shop. So if someone could call me and kind of coach me through that, I'd be glad to do a video on that little scallop pedestal dish.
Okay, what do you need a detail on, training on? We can help you.
Yeah. Call me, get me headed in the right direction to be able to hook my computers and stuff up out there with the camera to
All right,
video.
I can help you at that, but I'm in line here because we probably have 10 people that can do this. Use multiple cameras, and y'all know who I'm talking about. And then we have folks that use an iPhone and get the same great work. And like Doug Miller in Kentucky, he does this with an iPhone, and his are on YouTube. So if you're looking for help on this, we'll get it for you. I tell you, throw your phone number back in the
Okay.
and
and
I want to mark it.
I just got an iPhone Monday. Switched over from an Android to an iPhone, so I just got it and I'm hooking it back up. So, Doug, give me a call.
All right. I tell you what. Are you using Mac or DOS?
Am I using what?
A Mac computer or a DOS computer?
DOS.
DOS. Okay. There's a program in both of them called OBS. Now, in that program, it will tell you how to link it to where your camera automatically goes to OBS.
Okay.
And you can edit in OBS. And you can produce it. You can come to us in OBS. I'm talking to you on OBS. So, and it's free. I always look for the good free programs, and I go about what Scott and a few other folks on YouTube give us. Never went wrong. No viruses or problems. In fact, I'm trying to get a DOS computer I have on a desk running fast enough to do it there, because there's some programs I can't run on a Mac that'll run on DOS or Windows. All right. Thank you, Bray. Appreciate the input tonight. And folks, if you haven't, I've been showing a gallery. Dane will call on you. When Dane says your name, then you need to start talking, because we have 82 participants in the program tonight, 82 members on there, and you have to look through a list of 82 people to get to you. And sometimes you work under aliases. I mean, I know on a list night we have a 501-204-2706. Change your name, put your name, and you can do that. But we can't call on you if you're 501s, or it's hard to find you. All right, Greg Bray put his phone number in the chat. Save the chat. In the bottom right-hand corner, a little square with 3 dots. You click on that little square, it'll say save chat. It'll save the chat to your computer tonight. Otherwise, you have to wait for our master webmaster. He's a master webmaster tonight. He will put that chat on our website for you, because it's all about sharing information. There are no priorities here. Nobody's more important than you, the membership. Anybody else, Dane?
No, not at the moment.
All right. Somebody said I'm aging myself talking about a DOS machine. You know.
Unless Windows has changed from DOS operating background, I think it's still accurate.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that most people know what that is.
Yeah, and everybody associates Windows.
Now,
Windows is a program that runs on DOS.
What does DOS stand for?
Digital Operating System.
So you guys remember what it means.
Yeah.
And they dropped it about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I have a quick question before we get away from this. What was it that Greg said he uses to ebonize with?
Let's go back to Greg.
Leather
I
dye.
think he said leather dye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a black leather dye.
Yeah. Black leather. Okay, thank you.
I've been using that for years.
Yeah. Me too. I think it's called Fibings, isn't it? Fibings leather dye.
Yeah, it's they come in different different colors and different like some are like paste, some are liquid.
Yeah.
You can put them on with rags or with a brush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been using the liquid for several years, and
Yeah.
and I switched from regular black to USMC black because it seems to be quite darker and absorbs faster, at least for me.
Yeah. The other nice thing is you can put on 2 coats and it really intensifies with the second coat.
That being said, can you use Indian ink like that?
You know,
yes,
I
you
don't know
can.
why not.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
You can. I use Indian ink.
Okay. All right. Good.
I use black Sharpies. Honestly, I do. I get some big fat ones. And if I want to darken some finials or something on a box lid or something, that's what I use. And work really good on cherry. Cherry will ebonize really well with that.
Matt Harbor threw it in here before I could get to it. Candy Leather Company. Now you go online and their collection supplies and find it. There's a Candy Leather right down the road from me, and I've bought about 6 or 8 colors at one time. I still have them in the shop, and it was really nice product. Wear gloves.
I use
Whatever you do, wear gloves.
I use chestnut spirit stain when I ebonize. That's what I use.
Chestnut spirit stain. Okay, we have 2 people that have asked if we could do a demonstration about ebonizing wood like that. And that's a road we want to travel. If you could do something unique like that, demonstrations don't require a studio setup. You can do it right now with your iPhone or your iPad or your desktop computer.
How about
All those
Sandy?
are capable. What's that, Aunt Brenda?
How about Sandy? Can she do that?
Sandy? It sounds good.
Oh, hi, Eddie. No, I don't think so, because I haven't been able to work in the shop for a while. Some medical issues going on. I could show you things that I have ebonized. I do it for all of my finials when I'm doing ornaments, anything I want black. I've done it on boxes and box lids and things like that. But unfortunately, I haven't been out in the shop in probably a month, and I probably
Sorry
have
to hear that.
more to go. Yeah, that's okay. It'll get better.
I can show
I
what
hope
I've done.
better.
I can show one I've done with chestnut spirit stain if y'all want to see it.
That would be a good one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sandy, if you can talk us through it, if you can get the things and the stuff together, just let us know. We'll block out some time and you can talk us through it. Because a lot of folks learn that way and they can appreciate it that way because you're a human and you talk human.
I do mostly.
Yeah. I like going to the doctor. My wife is pretty good about this. She says, what's the cut and dry and don't talk medical. Yeah. I know you might be making people mad, but the hospital I'm going to, they say, all right, this is the deal. And it has saved my life more than once.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I usually have to get my wife to translate what the doctor said.
Yeah, I read it on the after visit report. Did we talk about that? So we're looking to talk through some demonstrations if we can do it. And Mac in Florida says the OBS is an open broadcast software. It's free. And if you want to keep adding to it, once you join one of these YouTube channels, Scott Fichter is one, and there's a couple others. And I don't do names very well. If you join their group and go into their history, and you have to join them. They don't charge you for it, but join them or subscribe. Go back in history and you'll see how to do this banner across the bottom like I have, the date, the logo, all this stuff came from YouTube. And it's all in OBS, and NDI is how I go from OBS to my Zoom. And that's enough legal talk tonight. But that's how you can do it. And if you set up a demo like that, we'll go to you. We're going to go back to Matt Harbor right now. And he's got it up in front of you. And that is dyed with.
This is maple, white maple, silver maple.
Oh, you're lying. Oh, you're lying.
No, it's with chestnut spirit stain. And I mean, I don't have it right here because clearly I'm in the bedroom, but basically you just get a little spirit stain on your paper towel and you just wipe it on. That's all you do.
You don't keep that under the bed?
You know, there might be some I should check. I have found some of that stuff where it shouldn't be, that's for sure.
Check the top drawer of that dresser.
Don't talk about that, Brenda. My wife found a fan belt for the tractor in my dresser.
Wow. Just in case you're turning in your sleep, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, I got a question for you. After you're using that ebonizer, what type of finish are you putting?
Matt?
I'm sorry, is he asking what type of finish? I have, any finish that you're using on any kind of paint products or spirit stain you can use. So these probably have chestnut spirit stain. They have, and this is acrylic paint. So I probably sprayed this with lacquer. But I have certainly sprayed, you know, the Minwax wipe on poly. So, you know, whatever finish you're applying. I mean, if you're wiping on a finish, you know, your rag or whatever is going to come up with the stain. But that's why I spray lacquer. I did a couple coats of lacquer on it. But
Okay, that's where I was going. I was wondering how much rubs off, you know, so.
yeah, I'll almost because I work a lot in natural edge pieces and funky shaped pieces like this with, you know, like where it's got a bunch of protrusions and stuff I want to keep. I spray almost all my finishes. So I've got 4 coats of light spray on anything before I start sanding. So, and when I say light spray, I'm misting it from at least, you know, a foot out. Okay, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does, because if you put too much lacquer on it, it just runs.
Right, and you don't want that, and then you've got to sand off any drips or anything like that, and all you want is a light mist, and you wanted to do it in as clean, as dust-free an environment and as well-ventilated environment as you can get.
You talking about a rattle can lacquer?
Yeah. Minwax gloss lacquer or satin lacquer, or they've got one that's semi-gloss. But yeah, I use the Minwax. I got an Ace Hardware up on the corner that's 5 minutes away. They sell my lacquer products, so.
Very good.
And I've used it for years, so.
Even the in-house lace product is pretty good.
Yep.
From Ace.
Yep, and Chestnut Spirit Stain sells a cellulose lacquer that's supposed to be really good. You know, I pretty much the only place that doesn't sell Minwax products is like Home Depot, because they had some kind of contract disagreement with them. And they've replaced all of that with Varathane, which I have also used, which works pretty good too. And Varathane is a flooring product, so. And I've successfully sprayed poly also.
Oh, I did that.
Would probably be my favorite.
Okay, Kim. Let's go. Was Kim saying something?
No, it was me, Eddie. It was me.
Oh,
I got a dumb question.
there are no dumb questions.
Well, you're talking about ebonizing this wood. And to me, it looks like black paint. What is the difference between ebonizing the wood and just painting it black?
Ooh,
Excellent question. Your difference between painting something and using something like a black lacquer have similar sort of attributes is you're building up a skin on the surface when you're painting. Okay, so let's say you do texturing, or you've got something funky like this. If you start painting it, you're going to start filling in the crevices and the holes. And if you've gone to great lengths to apply a texture, then you're going to start filling in your textures, and that holds true for black lacquer also. If you use a dye or a stain, or you ebonize, dyeing and staining is not really ebonizing, okay? And I'll explain that difference in a minute. But dyes or stains are soaking into the wood. They're not filling up the crevices. So, and this is a point that I made just this weekend in my club, at my club demo, where I did a texturing and embellishment demo. The dyes and the stains do not fill in the texture. So if you've gone to great lengths to create a texture with a texturing tool, or you're carving a texture, or you're wood burning a texture, or whatever you're doing, chatter tools, if you start painting it, you'll start filling in those textures and you'll lose them. That's why you use a dye or a stain. So a dye or a stain is coloring the wood. So let's say I spray a blue stain, like Chestnut Spirit Stain Sky Blue, onto mulberry, which we all know is really bright yellow, okay? it will then start looking dirty green, which is probably not the effect I wanted, okay? Now, the difference between a stain and a dye and ebonizing is that ebonizing actually triggers a chemical reaction that begins to react with the tannins in the wood to darken the wood itself. So if you ebonize the wood properly with an ebonizing solution and you turn some of it off, it'll still be dark where the solution has triggered that chemical reaction and reacted with the tannins in the wood. Now, some woods don't have enough tannins in them to create a good ebonizing when you do that. So there is also a way to add tannins to wood with another chemicals, and I was just reading something about that. I've never done that, but
I can
I
tell
have
you
also
how to
done.
ebonize wood.
What's that?
I can tell you how to ebonize wood. And the tannin
Yeah,
you want is tea. You put
There you go.
tea, put a tea bag in an old bottle of water, and you let it sit until you get blue crust on that, you know, like it's going bad, mold and stuff. And you're at the same time, you're going to get some steel wool, and you're going to first put that in some kind of solvent, because steel wool has oil on it. You don't want oil in your mixture. You're going to take some steel wool, wash it off, put that in a separate bottle of water. Let that sit for a week. The first thing you're going to do is paint that wood with tea. And then as soon as you hit it with the steel wool water, it turns jet black. We do that a lot when I'm woodworking. So, but it's really easier to use dye.
Susan, can we get a direction that we can put that on our website?
Yeah, I can send all you that.
Yeah, if you would.
Also,
and David will put it on our website.
when you're talking about, I don't know if you can see this, but when you're talking, like say, when you're talking about a piece of wood.
Raise it up and pull it further away. There you go.
Okay, when you're talking about a piece of wood, okay, let's say that those are the molecules of the piece of wood, okay? Now, when you're talking about a molecule for a stain molecule is like this, where a dye molecule is like this. And that's why dye goes into the wood and stain only goes partially into the pores, but not into the wood. So a stain is, even though it's going into the wood a little bit, you're still building a coating on it, and that's why dye gives you better grain showing than a stain will. Does that all make sense?
Yes. Yep. Thank you.
Yes,
it does. Thank you.
It was a good description.
Do you have a preferred
Thank you
tea
very
that
much.
you use, Susan?
I'm sorry, please.
Do you have a preferred tea?
I personally drink red rose. So, any regular peacoat tea, you know, if you because that's going to give you the tannins. I mean, like, if you had a bunch of oak leaves, you probably could create some of the tannin as well.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Susan, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You talked about a stain, you talked about a dye, but where does the ebonizing, where does that fall at in
It
there?
goes through like a dye would. Even better, only because you're looking at water that's been infused with a tannin. So the molecules are almost smaller than what you would find in a dye. So that's going to really go into the wood in the same, and you don't have to let that dry. You can actually hit it with the water from or paint from the water from the steel wool right away, and it'll turn black.
And the next question, is there any other way of ebonizing besides what you mentioned about with the tea and the vinegar and the steel wool? Is there anything else?
Well, and that's why I use trans-tiv black dye. Because I can mix that with anything. I can mix it with water. I can mix it with solvent.
The vehicle is the
put it right
vehicle.
on.
Where
It's
does
just
ink?
moving
Yes.
it.
Where does ink fall in this at? Is ink a stain or a dye?
I would say that ink would be more like a dye. But I think it's got a slightly larger molecule than a dye would, but I think it would be more like a dye.
Wow, Susan.
I don't think like now when you're talking about shoe polish is more like between a paint and a stain because it lays on the surface, not the shoe polish, but the shoe dye. It lays on the surface and goes in slightly. So it's more like a stain. It's building up on top. Think about when y'all were in the service. I was in the service too, and I you had to shine your boots so you could see your teeth. And
With witch hazel.
yeah, okay. And but I would spit shine those things, and every 2-3 weeks I would take them all the way down to the leather, put black dye on them, 2 or 3 coats, and repolish them. So yeah, I was a fanatic by that. So and Brett just had something that he was saying about color stain in suspensions. They actually are the ones that are sitting on top. If you're in a solution, it's going to be soaked in. And I forgot about that chemistry. Thanks, Brett.
Hey, we got it all right here.
Question for you.
Okay.
Years ago, you used to buy a pair of floor shine shoes, and you could do what you talked about. You could comb your hair in them. You go buy a pair of shoes now, you can't get that kind of finish with them.
Well, that's because it's pleather most of the time.
Okay.
I think that, and I don't think they're using the same kind of leathers, and they're coating them with plastics and stuff like that so they last longer. But yeah, you can't buy the shoes anymore and put a spit shine on them.
Right. You can shine them, but you can't shine them like you used to.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure.
And I found out the best way to have to clean the whole barracks is with patent leather.
That's right. Yep.
Right.
That was a long
Thank you,
time ago, guys.
Thank you, Susan. Appreciate
Right.
that. We have a lot going on, a lot of information passing down tonight, and really appreciate this. And the information goes into, I'll beat this drum till it's over. It goes into the chat. If you want to see it, it's in there. Save it before you go out. All right, Dane, anybody else up in the bullpen tonight?
Eddie, let me add something real quick. This is
Go ahead.
Trace. You don't need to spotlight me. When I do my bottom of my birdhouse finials, and I stain them black with a India ink. But when I'm using the water-based ink, it raises the grain. So I actually go put it back on the lathe again and sand it after I've dyed it with the or ebonized it with the ink.
And you don't remove the ebonizing.
No, it doesn't remove the ebonizing, but if you're using a water-based stain or dye or something, it will raise the grain of the wood. So you may either put water on it first and then sand it down, do it initially, or I put it on and then sand it down afterwards and don't have a problem with it. It doesn't take that much off of it. So
Is all
Good.
Indian inks water-based?
I can't say all, but the Indian ink that I have, it's a water-based ink.
Okay, all right.
But they're different, yes.
Just saying thank you. It's a good idea.
Okay, but I do have to go back and do a final, fine sanding on it just to knock that raised grain down.
No matter what you do for a finish, that raised grain will be there.
it will be there no matter what, if you use water on it with your stain or dye or something. If you use alcohol, you don't have the same problem, but water, you do have that problem.
Sometimes we have a problem with novice turners, not understanding. Finish is finish. It doesn't fix anything. It won't do any more than what you have done to the piece. So if you didn't sand it from get-go to finish, and I mean that, it's got to be get-go to finish, to take all the scratches out, you're not going to get your toyance. If you don't sand it properly and you put a finish on it, you're not going to get rid of the scratches. If you do something like wet sanded and you don't fix the wet sanding, you're going to have some fuzz underneath, which will impart the gloss, because gloss is bouncing off the finish. So if you got all this for finish, you have all that for bouncing off light. And it's critical that you get it prepared. Some folks say, I can fix that with this miracle finish that I have in a bottle I bought at such and such store. No, you can't. Don't even think about what that label says. Would say Kane?
Oh, I was saying, agreeing with you, not happening.
No. And I don't care what that salesman that's making $8 an hour is going to tell you, it ain't going to work.
You can hit it with gesso. It'll cover all those scratches.
You can dip it in gesso. As long as you wipe the drip off when it's done. Yeah. And if you don't know what gesso is, leave it alone.
Didn't I show you guys gesso a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
I know I got 2 different kinds in my shop right now because I was using it just this week. So white gesso and black gesso.
Now you're using that as a base before you do something to it. That's what you did before.
Yeah, and you know that piece that I showed in that demo that I did for y'all, I put black gesso on. Well, I've turned that off and it now has white gesso on it.
You took the black off.
I took the black off and I put white on there, and I'm working on it now with the white as the basis. The walnut wood shows through a lot better with the white base. Yes, sir.
Your friend Alfred, he's a little under the weather right now, right?
Well, he was fine on Sunday. I don't know.
Because we're looking for him to come back, because we all in awe anytime he shows something.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell him that he was missed.
Yeah, he was under the weather, and he told me that today. Surgical thing.
He's got a medical thing going on. You're right. Yeah, he had a lot to show on Sunday. So
good. And he's a true artist, folks. We talk about Alfred, and we put a photo each month of his work in our newsletter. And our newsletter goes out by Facebook, and it is attached to our website. So if you missed back issues, our I'll get the title right. I think he's a master webmaster, but he puts it right there. So if you're looking for it, go to our website. You can download it. You can print it yourself. And we get all the input from members. And sometimes it's opinions. And remember, they're just like elbows. There's always more than one opinion.
Hey, Eddie.
What's up, Ronnie?
Our new daddy, is he here tonight or is he changing diapers?
He might be taking care of that boy.
Yeah, he's not in yet.
No.
He's not in yet?
We're talking about.
He gets a pass for the next 6 months, y'all.
Yeah.
He was on last week, Matt.
I know he was. I watched the video already.
Yeah, showing his youngest wood turner ever, and he's the first member of our junior membership program. So and we're talking about Cade Boger out of Ontario, Canada. He's an excellent demonstrator. Last week he did a little bowl for us, soup to nuts, right here on the program, and he showed downhill cutting. I'm sorry, let's say it's downhill slicing. It shows him downhill, and he cleaned up a piece. What he walked away from without a piece of sandpaper would embarrass a lot of turners. Really would. He showed you, And here our demonstrators like Matt and Dane and a handful of others, I don't want to leave anybody out, have shown you not only what they can do, but it's more along the lines of what you can do. And then we'll share a technique, and we talked about stains and dyes and uphill, downhill, and burrows versus side grain. And all, we talk about all of it. If you want to add something to the program, let us know. Remember, it's your turn. It's your club. It's your club. Bob says, "Glad to have." Well, I missed something.
We got two new members that popped in tonight, Eddie. Mike and Cindy Williams.
Really? Is it Mike and Cindy Williams or Mike and Cindy Miller?
Miller, sorry.
All right, Mike and Cindy, welcome, folks. Jump in anytime you want. Just start talking. See?
Yeah, I don't want to speak out of turn or volunteer Alfred for anything, but he's also my club equipment guy, and he's really good with sharpening and things like that. So I don't know, maybe we can talk him into showing some sharpening.
Sharpening is so critical. It is. Don't overlook it, and there's no gizmos to replace patience. None.
That's probably one of the biggest issues I have, and it's one of the hardest things I found to do.
And it's if you understand how the tool cuts. And best way to do it, bring somebody out in the shop, let them turn the headstock by hand, and you make the slices with the tool. That's the best way to learn. Because it ain't gonna matter if you do it at 1 RPM or 3,000 RPMs. They all cut the same. And I've had that problem with folks in teaching classes here. What is the RPM you cut with? How many of you folks that turn have been asked that? How many RPMs do you cut with?
Whatever I'm comfortable with.
There you go, Jason, hit it. Right off the bat. There's no magic number. There's no saying you got to use it at 610 RPMs or 3,000 RPMs.
It depends on the wood too. Those burls that burl I turned, you have to start at 500-600 RPM when it's so lumpy and weird. You can't kick it up until you've got it round and smoother.
So when you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing too, Eddie, if I go out and grab my mini lathe and try to turn at the same speed on my mini lathe that you do on that one way, I'm going to have some problems.
Because of the weight and size of the unit, you're going to end up with chatter.
Exactly.
Permanent chatter effect.
It might go on to the side of dangerous because of that lighter lathe.
And don't weight them down. I mean, don't think I'll put 6 sandbags on the stand. It's not the stand. And we have Mike and Cindy said, thanks for the update and the invitation. Need to listen. Speaking of which, tips on sharpening a roughing gouge. Kim, you still with us?
Howdy.
Howdy. Tips on sharpening a roughing gouge.
Oh, I use my Wolverine jig. No, I don't. What do I do? Oh, I don't have any of my sharpening stuff here because I don't have any room for it. But how I did my Harbor Freight ones is, and I don't know if this is correct, it's just what I found on YouTube. I would lay the handle in the Wolverine jig and then just lay it on the wheel and see what angle is at. And then you roll it. Try not to move it side to side. You keep it nice and centered on the wheel and just go side to side. Now, I think, Eddie, you were talking earlier how you kind of curve your roughing gouges. Like, I don't have sharp up wings like this. I kind of slightly bring them back a little bit so that way I can get a little bit more of this kind of movement out of it. I'm not a technical person, so asking somebody else about sharpening would probably be bad.
You drifted it into an Irish grind, did you?
No, it's just it doesn't have that sharp, you know, how I love my Irish grind. I will with it. Okay. So yeah, I love my Irish grind, but I just took those edges off to kind of make it, especially when I first started, I kept getting catches because I wasn't using the tool properly. So I kind of, I'm going to make the tool work for me. Since I gotten used to, without those, sharp fingernail tips, I guess, I don't know what they are. I kind of just set it in the wood grain jig and then did this. And then if I wanted to take those off a little bit, I just rolled it in a little bit more, and it would just slightly.
It's not an Irish grind. It's like a bowl grind or
Yeah.
bowl gouge grind.
Yes.
But
So would that be a tipping grind?
And just sit it on the bar and just my things like this, and I just put it on the wheel and I just pull it back and forth depending on this angle. Kind
It
of
sounds like a tipping grind to me too.
yeah, tip and grind. That we're going to call it a tip and grind. Because remember, we can put a name on anything we want.
And I think I'm like the rest of y'all, where you just kind of you look at videos and see what the idea around the sharpening, and as far as like the technical angles, I kind of just experimented with really cheap gouges and lost a lot of steel on the floor because of it. But I finally got a position, and I just make a little mark on all my Wolverine jig, to where it's way swept back more than a regular Irish grind is, because I'm very aggressive and I like using a lot of edge, and I just feel, for me, it's just the most versatile. So mine's not even at the degree an Irish grind would be. I don't even know what it is, but it's like you said, it is a tip and grind. I customized it to my feel and my style of turning. So I don't know. I have no idea what it is. It's what I did years ago, and I loved it, and I kept it.
And it
that's
works.
that. That's right, and it
All right,
works.
thank you, Kim.
I'd love to see it at some point.
Yeah, I could go grab it and bring it in and show you what it looks like.
What the edge looks like.
Yeah, what the edge looks like.
All right, thank you, Kim.
Let me add something on a roughing gouge. I know y'all talk about sweeping the wings back on it, but the wings were designed originally to be straight up and down. The reason why is if turning a chair leg or a leg for a table, when you're going from square to round, that flat area allows you to get in there and cut all the way up to that square edge. So it allows you to get up and cut a square edge all the way to that square edge on it. And I still get the same angle. I just turn it at a slight angle to make the cut across there. So, but anyhow, that was the design. And that's the reason why the wings are straight up and down. And when I sharpen it off a platform at a 40-degree angle and just roll the tool around it.
Yeah, because you're not doing a shape, you're doing the angle.
You're just doing the angle. I put it on the platform, put it with a 40-degree, and I just go flat from one side all the way to the flat on the other side. But sometimes it starts coming back. But the main reason for those straight sides is be able to cut to a square corner when you're doing like a table leg. When you're roughing the table leg, to be able to cut all the way up to that edge. It's on the side, and it allows you to get all the way to that edge.
You have to consider. Go ahead.
And that's
Ronnie.
the purpose of the straight.
We are talking about sharpening, and we might be confusing Cindy and Mike right now, because we need to know what they're sharpening with first before you can help them.
Oh, you're so right. Or you use the questions be, or you're using a jig on tools that must be constant. Kim said just now she threw a lot of steel on the floor. That's tools on the floor. So if you're using a jig, you can control where you're going, and the jig could be just one that the pockets it's in to do a bowl gouge or a roughing gouge. And also, what kind of wheel are you using?
Well, a bunch of y'all use wheels with a like that. I personally use a Robert Sorby belt system. So, so you need to find out what they're sharpening with, so they'll know how to sharpen.
It's a good idea. If you go to Lowe's or Home Depot today and buy a new 8-inch grinder, you're gonna get a 40 and a 60 grit wheel. I don't have a 40 or a 60 grit wheel.
Well, that being said too, if you go to Home Depot and you buy a grinder, you're gonna buy a high-speed grinder when you need a slow-speed grinder.
Oh, they have a variable, they have a
That's a
porta cable
misnomer.
and, yeah, they have a porta cable and the Delta, which is almost identical. And they both have variable speed, 17 to 38.
Okay, but they need to know to sharpen at a slow speed rather than a high speed.
Yeah, you
That's
sharpen
a
lawnmower
misnomer,
blades at
Ronnie.
high speed.
What's that?
That's a misnomer.
Who said that?
Dane. High speed, slow speed, that's a misnomer. That's for carbon steel, yes. High speed, no. Unless you're laying on your tool, then you're gonna burn and waste your steel.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. What about the bluing of the steel? That's where we going with that.
Well, no, unless you're laying on your tool. If you're only using your tool weight for sharpening, high-speed grinder is not gonna affect it.
Okay, what some folks are missing here, we're talking about sharpening, not creating, not reshaping. We're talking about sharpening. And there's a whole folks out there in our audience tonight that only use hones, and they hone or polish their edges. So sharpening them is a definite no-no. But it is all dependent on what you're using and how you're doing it. I think Kim is back with those tools. Kim, oh wait, she got moved away from the mic. But
Sorry,
now
I'm
she's
trying
back.
to adjust here. All right, so let me get this adjusted really quick so you can kind of see the profile. Make me large so I can see it better on my tablet, Eddie, if you don't mind.
I thought you are large. You were. We'll go back to it. Got to say something.
There we
Here's
go.
the spotlight.
All right, my camera just does the reverse, so it's hard. All right, let me make sure it's focused. Okay, so maybe you can see the profile of, this is my new roughing gouge, and I haven't sharpened it yet. See how these are nice and even right here. Now this one's one I have sharpened, and you can see where I just took it off. Hold on, let me get my hand in here. I just took it off slightly. So instead of it coming straight up and down, I just beveled it a little bit. That's just to my taste, I guess. I don't know what to call that.
Now you can control that grind when you're doing it. So if you want to be less of a sweep or just near the tips, you can do that.
Yes. And so obviously this one's straight from the factory. I'm trying to, it's straight from the factory, and it's nice and, crisp and sharp at that edge. And I like it. The small one I like this. That's fine. This one I just kind of customized a little bit. And here is my, sorry, I'm doing clay.
Yes, you are. Your polymer
Yes,
clay
we can't
too.
wait for that clay.
I'm still working. I'm still working on it. All right, hold on. I'm so sorry about this is my,
okay.
this is my Irish grind. This is my grind. It's way swept back. Now, these squares right here are 1 inch squares, just to give you a size reference. Hold on.
Can I notice the top of the sweeps there, folks? They're high, not dipped.
Yeah, you don't want them to come down. If they come down, then you need to change how you're doing it. They can come up slightly, but never down. Mine are kind of, slightly up, but more straight.
And who controls that?
You do. I do.
I had a question on the roughing gouge. Mine, yours are very almost flat across the end. Mine has a point, I guess you'd say, more of a point on the end. See how yours are almost flat across on this one that you're showing here. Looking at it across the grind, it's almost flat. What's the difference between being flat and having a somewhat of a point?
Well, this is a roughing gouge. Roughing gouges, I don't think have points. Is that right? Like they all They all kind of have you can get a V. I think they're available in V and U shaped.
Yeah, mine's U.
That's a flute.
Yeah, the flute. But I've never seen a roughing gouge unless you grind it yourself like that with, like you're talking about a point like
Well, if
this.
somebody could highlight me, I've got mine and holding it up.
Oh, okay.
Who's talking?
Yeah.
Gary Bobenhausen. Yeah, that's me. Okay, that's mine is kind of got a point on it, as you can see by looking there. Up here is like a pointy. It's not a real angle point, but it is a point where I've noticed on yours that yours are almost flat across. Is this
my Harbor Freight one looks exactly like that. And that was from me over time sharpening that way. That is not getting the proper angle for that roughing gouge, and it brings those wings way back, which I still love that grind. It's funny because I have like 3 different grinds on my roughing gouges and I use them for different means, but it's that angle on that nose. You can see this one is like this, and yours is starting to take on a sharper angle. I don't know what you would call that. Put it on my
I see your point. I mean, I see what you're saying.
It's spending too much time on the sides when you're grinding.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Make it into a
That's
spindle
how
gouge.
That's how I get,
right.
You know, be slightly back like this, and that's what will create your point, because obviously now this and this are not straight up and down with one another. They're like that. And you can do that. Like with my Irish grind, the reason why I'm able to get it a little bit sharper on the nose is because I spend a little more time curving in my wings.
Yeah.
And that's just how I like to do it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just, that's how I do it. I'm kind of like I'll do it and then find out why it's right or wrong later on.
Kim, while you have the tool in your hand,
Yes, sir.
bring that one back up. Look at the shaft as it goes into the handle. You see that drop down or neck down? All right, now hold up that Thompson that you had, if you would, please. Look at the neck down. Oops, it doesn't have a neck down. That shaft is solid to the base.
Yep, all the way through. And that's what I love about this
Carter
one.
and Son is a solid.
It makes a lot of
Carter and
difference.
Son is also a solid shaft.
So is D-Way and a few other folks.
Yeah, this is Sorby. And that's another reason. This is a 89, 79 or 59. I can't remember how much I paid for it. And I'm not saying that they're cheap or anything. I'm just saying that's why sometimes some tools are going to be a little bit more expensive, because there's a lot of steel in here. It's definitely tougher. I've bent the tang on my Harbor Freight one. Matter of fact, I think I broke it out and I had to redo the handle because beginning turner and I'm aggressive and just threw it in there and it went whang. And so that is what gets people this type of roughing gouge. I see a lot on Facebook and all that where they'll actually break it. Sometimes they break it into here, and I think that's from just overreaching with the tool rest. But down here is definitely its weak point, and you have to be very careful on how you operate.
The full name of that tool that you're holding, Kim, is a spindle roughing gouge. It is only to be used in the spindle aspect for that exact reason. I broke one too. I broke the tang off my first roughing gouge, doing exactly the same thing you did. So.
Yeah, I think that's your initiative, that you have to do that in order to be initiated to be a certified, dummy.
Well, plus make a funnel. So once you've made a funnel and broken a tool, you're in.
Yes.
Yeah, remember, if you get a Band-Aid, you belong to Brenda's Band-Aid Brigade.
Yes. Or you can wear a splinter in your hand from doing something dumb and wear your splinter in your hand for a year and then finally cut it out yourself.
Okay, splinter, that's like Billy Bird.
Yeah, it was.
And folks, we will talk about you. There's nothing sacred here. And like Doug said, a roughing gouge or a roughing gouge can be called an oversized spindle gouge. But if we weren't family, I'd tell you what I'd call it. But we have a G rating. I got something here from Tom. Says Thompson's much harder tool. Yes, the quality of the material that the gouge is made out of will determine its strength and its sharpenability, but also its ability to maintain an edge. So if you think I got these Harbor Freight tools and they're junk, don't get rid of them. Think about the specialty cuts you need to make, because you're still holding a piece of tool steel, and the shape it ends up in is up to you. I've got scrapers that were total junk. In fact, there's one tool I can never figure out what it was, but it was in the kit, and it made a fantastic bowl scraper. So you have a tool, don't get rid of it. You can hold the garage door open with it if you want, but don't get rid of it. All right, we got 92 folks joining us tonight. Welcome to everybody. If you're a new member, welcome. If there's any way we can help you, we want to know about it. Let us talk about it. Mike and Cindy are with us tonight, and they've had a couple of questions. And Matt Harper's been answering them on our chat. And Matt said we have to ask Alfred about sharpening. Don't want to put Alfred on the spot, but when he does return, Dane will put him on the spot to get a demonstration. That's what Dane does.
Poor Alfred. You can tell him that I volunteered him.
I will.
See, the folks, the way we handle challenges, if you send, I'd like to, Dane signs you up.
In other words, we'll all know before Alfred knows.
That's right. No surprise. All right, look, we're going to go back to gallery for a few minutes. If you got something to show, put it in the chat. I see there's a couple in the chat right now. And that's the way you show your gallery piece. We're going to ask you a couple of questions. What kind of wood? What kind of finish? Would you usually cut it with? The size? We want to know everything you know about that piece.
All right, with that, let's go to Gary.
Gary, you're up and you're muted.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Y'all got me? Yeah. Okay,
Gotcha.
I've watched 3 or 4 times that Cade demonstration from last week. Best demonstration I think I've ever seen.
Wasn't that fantastic? I walked away amazed.
Yeah. Okay, this is the back side of my bowl. It's ash. It's about 7 inches wide and 3 inches tall. Doesn't have anything fantastic on it. It's just got myelin sanding sealer. Backside, I was turning before I watched that demonstration. This thing took off at a real nice angle when I got a catch. I mean, it went
flew
real
right across
nice.
the room.
Yeah, did a beautiful job.
That's why you leave shavings on the floor.
Yeah.
You needed a shortstop, huh, Gary?
Yeah. So
boots.
I watched that demonstration, like I say, 3 or 4 times. Turned it over and did the inside, and a totally different turning the inside from the outside. Paid attention to my flute position, which apparently is what was causing me to get the catches. My flute would be open when it should have been closed. Not way open, but open some. But, and I noticed when I paid real close attention to what I was doing, I spent under 10 minutes sanding the inside of this thing. And normally that's not usual for me. I usually spend a wee bit more time than that.
But you were cutting the wood. You were slicing the wood.
Yeah.
Good job, Gary.
It makes a difference. Like I say, that demonstration was just outstanding. I wish Cade was on so he could hear me say that.
Okay. Gary,
I'll pass it on to him.
Tom in Tennessee says you earned this. Dane, can you show what he's earned?
I'm coming your way.
Right, there it is.
There you go, Gary.
Thank you.
He's a member of the Bird Nest Bowl.
Member of the Bird Nest, huh?
All right.
All right, Brenda.
Oh.
Oh.
All right, so today I spent a couple hours in the garage making ice cream paddles. And I made them all out of, or I used my skew, which I didn't realize it was even a skew. I thought it was a parting tool, but it looks just like the one I watched Doug Miller in his video last week. And I had the skew he used. I have one too. I thought it was a parting tool. So anyway, these are the ice cream paddles then that I made today using a skew.
Well, congratulations.
That's nice.
Had to do quite a bit of sanding though. They didn't come perfect like they should have.
I feel like those are good. handled too.
Say again, Ronnie.
Those are some mighty large ice cream paddles. Where did you get them?
Ben and Jerry's.
Penn State.
Yeah,
Baskin
they're
Robbins
PSIs.
when they're not looking.
Yeah, PSI.
PSI 9
like-
Yeah, I like the big handles.
Those are for when you
Smell
get
real
directly out of the
nice.
ice cream tub.
I like the fact that this is the only one with color.
I like the fact that
What was
that's a nice big handle. You can actually get a hold of it,
Yeah, for
especially
Yes,
on those
yes,
hard
and
ice cream.
Yeah.
At my craft shows, these are one of my best sellers. So I've got a craft show coming up this weekend, and I've got 6 of them right now made.
Great.
So
We'd like to get some photographs. We would.
okay.
All right. Thank you, Brenda.
Thanks, Brenda.
Richard,
You're welcome.
thank you for
Hey,
joining
Bill.
the gallery tonight. Hi, Bill.
Hello, how is everyone this evening?
Well, we're doing good. We seeing you.
So we have here a small piece of what we call Manitoba maple. You might call it box elder. You'll immediately recognize the red color on the outside.
Yes.
It's a live edge, more or less, a little bit missing there, but I was able to keep most of it. It's about 5.5 inches in diameter, about 4 high. Wipe on poly for coating. Unfortunately, the nicest part of the bowl is on the bottom, but you don't know that when you start.
Hey,
Right.
it looks good.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yep, yep.
Well, at least you did
Good
find a way
finish.
to kill her.
Beautiful. Box elder is one of my
There you
favorites.
Yeah, it's a lovely.
Looks wonderful.
It's
Love it.
it finishes like maple and it's reasonably soft. So it's
Yes.
quite good fun.
Carves and burns
nice.
well too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a small piece of
Okay, we call it wood.
yeah, I'm working on it. It's it's
Elm, it's elm.
no, it's poor man's walnut, butternut, a small piece of butternut. We had some butternut trees taken down. There's a disease killing them in the area. This was standing dead for 3 or 4 years. And I don't know whether you can see it, but there's all kinds of worm damage in it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And so what I did was I took, when it was finished off the lathe, sanded and treated with alcohol and shellac to kind of seal the surface. So then I could paint the wormholes with a black stain, Minwax black stain. And if the stuff that gets on the surface, you could just wipe off. And then it's wipe on poly finish on top of that. So it's about 3.5 inches by about 4 inches in diameter.
That's a nice piece, Bill.
It really is a nice.
Beautiful.
Nice
That
job.
looks great. Looks great.
It's
Thanks for explaining that color in the dots because that's important. If they're there, they're there.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lovely
highlight
wood. It's a lovely wood to work with because like walnut, it's soft and easy to turn. It's easy to finish. It doesn't take a whole lot of sanding if you're careful with your tools, and it does take a nice finish. Yeah.
Thank you, Bill.
Good.
Beautiful pieces and a little bit of technique tonight. All right, and it looks like I'm back up on top right now. I have to mention, folks, that we have a couple of challenges going on, but I've been asked to throw a special challenge in for Thanksgiving. So here's the challenge for Thanksgiving: bottle stoppers. I don't care what the base is. It can be a stick with a cork. It can be a plastic sleeve. It can be all metal. It can be metal with O-rings. It can be turned to wood if you want. The bottom is up to you, but then the top is up to you too. So any shape and design. I saw one done by Carl this week that was made in the shop of a shot glass. So you had a shot glass that went on top of the bottle. But we're looking to do this for around Thanksgiving. And the goal is when you turn this bottle stopper, you'll take it to Thanksgiving dinner and give it away. That's part of the deal. And then we'll probably crank up the Christmas ornament challenge about the same time with the same program. You turn a bottle, you turn a Christmas ornament and you give it away. I mean, look what Mr. John does. He gives away hundreds each year. And Trey's favorite thing in the fall is making ornaments. And Trey, what do you make, about 1,000 a year?
Maybe not that much, but at least 500.
All right. 500.
Give or take.
Yeah, and this improves your
Give or take,
skill.
give or
if
take
you
a
want.
few hundred.
Yeah. Give or take a few hundred. I love that. But this will improve your skill like you won't believe. It takes up very little wood, no real specialized equipment. In fact, it's going to make you hone your skill and your fingernail slicing gouge. It'll make you hone that technique like you won't believe. And remember, you know, whatever you make a mistake on, it's not too big to burn. Okay. Dane, we have anybody else up in the gallery?
Yeah, we got Glenn Domack here. Let's see. Glenn, go ahead and start talking. I'll bring you up.
Glenn, you got to talk. There he is.
Must be
You're up.
muted.
I hadn't done much
There you go.
turning lately. I had surgery on my hand, but last week I finally got back out there and did some turning, and so I did a little lidded capsule box. It's out of cherry, and
I like that softened bottom. That looks good.
and just put a little bit of design on the bottom, and on the top I put a inlay. It's hard to tell. Even looking at it myself, it's hard to tell, but it's a piece of Coca-Cola. Inlaid that, and then I just drilled the inside.
I'm glad you didn't use the term scrap Coca-Cola because there's no scraps.
Oh no, I don't have no scrap Coca-Cola. So
No, that's against Kim Tippin's rule for this club. We don't talk about scrap wood.
it's just a piece of some cherry, and I used the Tripoli polishing or the paste, and then I used the Shella Wax cream for the finish.
I do like the way you handled the joint at the crack. I'm sorry, the lid to base crack. You
joint.
soften the corners on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I had heard somebody say that too. If you, it might have been one of the Richard Rappin videos where he said, just go in there and take a little slight cut on one of the faces, and that way it's not as hard to match the grain, or it's it just looks better that way. So I've been trying to do that too on some of my lidded boxes. So, but,
Norm Abrams would call that celebrating the joint.
Norm would say that?
Yes, he would. I've seen him do that on several pieces of his work. He's celebrating or highlighting the joint.
Snoop Dogg would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Slightly different joint.
All right, that's all I have.
I didn't
All right,
think Bob
thank you.
Moffett was with us. That's a Bob Moffett comment. All right.
Oh, Lord.
Right.
All right, Doug in Kentucky. Hey, Doug.
Hey guys, I keep telling you all I'm in
in way too many challenges, different groups all over the place. YouTube, the YouTube cross channel challenge for this month was shrink. I've wondered what in the world to do about shrink. That was a crazy theme to work with, but I was sleeping one night and kind of woke up with the idea. I worked retail for several years, had to dress mannequins all the time. And I saw a show where this guy had collected mannequins, and one whole room was nothing but old wood mannequins. And so I turned a mannequin 4.25 inches tall with the hat. That's all done with the skew, except for the hat. The hat was done with my detail gouge, I think. I have to go back and look at the video. I've totally forgotten. But you can see right there at the neckline, that little dark spot, and then there's a great little spot, green spot at the base. That's the pith. This is a branch off my, in the chat, there's a discussion about silver maple. This is silver maple. There's no red in it. It'll never have red in it. Unlike the Manitoba maple or the box elder, that has lots of reds, beautiful. But anyway, this is silver maple off my tree in the backyard that was trimmed up. Finish on that is nothing but wax. Just very simple. It was sanded well, so it's wonderfully smooth. Feels like it's been handled for years. It's so smooth. But it's that's it. Just a nice, simple little project. It took about I don't know, 30 minutes or something. Only because I really was trying to figure out what I was doing the whole time.
Oh, you
Nice
didn't have a
job,
design
Doug.
to work with. You designed and you
sorry?
had you didn't have a design you're working with. You had
That's
a design
exactly
you
right.
had you're working to.
The design in my head was air.
That looks nice.
Most of us.
I love turning silver maple. That's one of my favorite goblet go-to woods now. The bark is just so pretty.
It's a nice little, let's see if I can get it where you can see it right there on the edge of the hat.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
See that little brown spot? That's a piece of the bark that was left over. And that was the stub from turning the body, is what the hat is.
Very cool.
So it turned out all right. And it shrunk. These would be, in real life, these would be 4 to 5 feet tall. This one is 4.25 inches with the hat included.
It's a nice challenge piece.
Yeah.
Great
Well,
bottle
you're
stopper.
going to turn a full size one now?
My lathe's not quite big enough for that. This particular group of folks, in their challenges, there are no parameters. There's a monthly theme that's thrown out. We've had fire, we've had water, mimic was one. This one was shrink. So it's been real interesting to see the different themes and how people have interpreted that to be whatever it is, whether it's a turning, all kinds of things. Some people do flat work only. And so one guy did a power punch machine. His punching machine was only like 2.5 inches tall, smaller than this. So it's been interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Very nice.
All right, let's go to Dane in Texas. Hey, Dane.
Hey, Dean.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
We all right, sir. What you got?
Hey, well, let me admit this guy here. So there we go. So my wife had a little electronic candles, got like a birch bark wrapped around the outside of it, and she wanted a candlestick to go with it. I made her one.
Oh,
Wow.
very nice.
Made that out of hackberry.
That is beautiful.
Did a video on this one, and I will tell you guys in advance. If you don't think I ever mess up, go watch that video. Okay, so I left it in there.
Looks
I had a couple little mishaps with it, but we got it done. And it's got 3 coats of antique oil finish on it, wiped off after each coat. So it stays with a more of a satin or flat finish. It's got just a little bit of sheen to it, but it's mainly pretty light. Then
I like it.
set in the And when you put it all
Oh, that's
together,
gorgeous. That looks
Yeah.
beautiful, man. That is really nice.
Nice
Very
match.
nice.
Nice
Yeah.
match.
It matches
you know, the
very
best
nicely.
part
Appreciate it.
about it, my
Wife
wife.
is happy.
Y'all go watch that video. It's a good video.
It is.
Really beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
Matt just threw the link to it up on the chat. So if you miss it, go to chat. It'll
Thanks,
be there.
Matt.
That is
My pleasure.
the spalting of
Alright.
the wood worked right with that candle holder. I mean, just right with it.
Yeah, it's amazing how close. This is hackberry, salted hackberry, and it's amazing how close that it turned out and looked.
That turned out real well. Thank you.
You Dane.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we got a
And
second offender.
Dane has a YouTube channel with demonstrations at least every week. Ryan won't put you on the spot, but it's about the truth, right?
Yeah, I try to get at least one turning video up each week, and I'm trying desperately to also get a tip video up each week.
That's handy because technique is important. Boy, is it ever. So let's go back to Dane. He's handling our gallery tonight.
All right, well, we got a repeat offender tonight.
Uh-oh. There he is.
Well, Mike, we're having a discussion about maple. It was my understanding when this wood was given to me that this was maple. Now, this is almost the same color as this cherry, but this is not cherry. So is this silver maple like I was told, or did I manage to get my hands on some hackberry or some box elder?
Okay, can we look down inside the bowl?
I gotta redo the finish. I got a little weird wax thing going on there.
Ain't no way that's box elder unless you stained it.
No, I don't
I
believe
did not. That is the natural color of the wood. That is just axe abrasive paste and axe finishing polish on it.
Yeah, so it's not box elder or Acer Negundo. It's something else.
Or silver maple.
Hard
It's
maple,
not
yeah.
pine either.
No, this is not pine. This is maple. This has a sweet smell that maple has.
I'd say apple, honestly, just from the look of the wood.
Really?
Yep.
Well, then
I don't know though. See, that looks like apple to me.
I agree with Matt. That's apple.
Yeah, that's a fruit
Happen
wood.
to be working with something. Looks just like that.
It's gorgeous. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, apple's good wood.
Yeah, apple,
Well,
the
likes
apple
you a
that
lot
I've
if
turned
they
is,
gave you that.
the apple that I've turned has been pretty hard. So your mileage may vary, but I mean, that could be like, depending on how hard or soft it is or how it smells, I guess it could be also willow, but it does look like apple to me.
No, I grew up in Alaska. I'm very familiar with willow.
Yeah.
And it does have some pith in it.
I'm agreeing with Matt. I think it's apple.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's apple too.
I have a huge slab of apple that I was told was maple.
Wow, you've got something there.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I'll keep pulling out of it then, because there's some. I mean, look at that grain. Look at that fire in there.
Now, if you're just disappointed with it, you could send it to me. I'll take care of it.
No.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
To help
I
you
think
out.
I'm more happy now that I know what it is.
Hey, I'm the head moderator. I should be looking at it.
Hey, I'm the one that brought you up so you can show it. I should get it.
Yeah.
Look at that grain, though. I mean, it's crazy.
Beautiful.
Yep, that's
All right, we have to do
gnarly.
this the
It
fair
has good
way.
grain.
Hold up your hand and we'll pick one out of the crowd.
He's not
I love
giving
how
any of that.
giving away my wood.
He's not giving any of that away. Yeah, you don't give any of that away.
Well, I just want to know.
Thank
why
you.
he's got
Thank you,
my
guys.
French
I
onion dip
appreciate it, because
there, you know?
I've been turning on this and thinking it's maple, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Paula, do you have a question?
Who is it?
Paula,
No, I
she's
just,
raising her hand.
I just raised my hand because Eddie told me to.
Okay, well, she's in the mix. Paula, we may have to give that wood to you.
Yeah, I listen.
I did
That's
literal.
dangerous. Don't pay attention.
I think you should send it to
Caution, Paula.
confirm what it is.
What was that, Donald?
I think
This
you
is,
should
this is
yourself.
our club. If we all share, this is our club.
That's right. But Donald's in Australia. Donald, what you got?
I think you should send it to Australia so we can confirm what it is.
That would be fair.
Right.
That would be fair. See, we all worldwide wood turners. I didn't see Martin pop in tonight or our other Paul, but they stay quiet unless we ask them to pop in. But they're from New England and, or I'm sorry, Great Britain.
All right. Sandy, what you got?
Hi, everybody. We're talking about silver maple, and obviously I haven't been able to do anything recently. I did this one a couple of years ago. Can you see it okay?
Yeah, now that is nice.
That's a piece of silver maple. I'm thinking it's about 13 inches, something like that. It's a beautiful wood to turn. You know, we have a lot of maple here in the state of Washington where I live. We get a lot of big leaf maple, you know, we get Eastern hard rock maple. We even have some soft maple, but this piece I got, the gentleman was from Canada and brought some blanks down and I bought it from him. But it's a beautiful piece of wood and it was really fun to turn.
Almost has what they call a quilting, a marbling in the bottom of it.
You know, it's got a little bit here.
Yeah, I see some
Just across
flashback.
here and out here, but the grain was really running this way, so it was a bit odd. So I don't know. It didn't go all the way through to the back. Well, I guess maybe a hair, but anyway, that's what I wanted to show you. I got nothing recently, but
that is
good work.
Studio.
Stay away from
Very pretty.
Stay away from
my
where?
silver maple.
Oh,
Sandy, stay away from my silver maple.
well,
Wait,
George,
wait,
I go
where
in
did
your
you say
you're
it was?
very stingy.
Is that on the left side of the shed or the right side? You know, because I'll be in the dark when I get there. I just want to know where to look.
2 big chunks on the left side, plus some madrone too.
Yeah. Hey, Eddie, stop by my house. It's not far from him. I'll show you exactly where to go.
That's what friends are
Yeah.
for.
I just told Sandy my new laser engraver just came in. I want to go out in the garage and put it together, but I'm sitting here on pins and needles so you guys get done so I can go out.
Yeah. Yeah, my husband got one. I don't know, he's had it a while now, a long while. So I no longer sign the back of my pieces, you know, and write what the wood is and whatever. I just put it over on his table in the shop and write a little note. And then the fairy comes out and does my work and hands it back to me. So it looks very professional, but I wouldn't have a clue how to do anything with it. I don't even know how to turn it on.
It's a developed art.
George, so
It's a developed
Pardon?
art.
yeah, I haven't developed that.
All right,
Um,
Brenda.
All right. I got a truckload of
Oh,
black
yeah, I want
walnut.
Vern's address. I'll put it out online.
And well, the tree was just cut down a couple months ago, or no, yeah, maybe a couple months ago. So it was still wet, but I decided I wanted to turn some of it to see how it turned, and it turned awesome. So, but then when I got done, I wasn't sure what to do with it, you know, other than just stick it in some sawdust. So I ended up putting sanding sealer on it, which evidently was the wrong thing to do. And Here's the back of it, because I haven't finished the bottom, you know, because I'm gonna.
Why was that the wrong thing to do?
Well, because Dane said so. Dane said I
No,
should.
hold
Oh,
on
lo
now.
and behold, we have to
Hold on a
the
minute.
Dane.
So were you doing that twice turned?
Yes.
Okay. So that's
So,
the reason why I said. So that's the reason why I said no.
Yeah. So what I need to maybe just turn the
I would like I was recommending. I would just turn the inside. Just take a layer off on the inside and not
on
worry
the
about
inside.
the outside.
Okay.
If you're just wanting it to sit and dry,
Right.
and then go back at it again.
Yeah. And then I noticed today I took it out to show Don when he come over today, and it's already got a crack in it. Can you see the crack?
Remember, when you're doing twice turn, you want to leave it about 10% of the final thickness, so it's looking a little thin for twice turned.
Oh, it's too thin for that. Okay.
Yeah, that crack is right in the pith too, so that's kind of to be expected.
Yeah, that crack adds
Yeah.
character.
It does. That's character.
Yeah, it'll depend on
Yeah.
how much it moves. You know, you might get away with it.
Yeah.
But I would take the sanding sealer out of the center. That way the
Okay.
moisture will come out from the center, and hopefully get more movement going vertically instead of it trying to
Okay.
squeeze out through where the pith is at.
Okay.
Coffee grounds and CA glue look really good with walnut.
Yeah.
If you're gonna fill.
Okay. You know what? I've got another piece of garage that I put coffee grounds on or in the cracks.
Yes.
And when I turned it, it just came right out.
Oh, huh. Could been sometimes if your pieces are a little wet or oily or whatever, because coffee is oily too. So sometimes you have to really douse it down. It all depends on the wood. If you
Okay.
have an issue with that, you can also add baking soda and coloring together. You can use mica powder, baking soda, fill it
Oh,
in.
okay.
And I didn't know this, but the military actually use it to repair helicopter blades. If they get nicks or whatever in their helicopter blades, they use baking soda and CA glue because it hardened. Yeah, I was like, what? And so someone shared the information with me. Apparently, it's used a lot in aviation for the fiberglass, repairing fiberglass stuff. So
Well, I'll be
I
darned.
tried. Yeah, so baking soda, and you can mix mica powder in it. Of course, it makes it a little lighter. The color will, but I use charcoal. Sometimes I use charcoal mixed with the baking powder, and it hardens.
Okay.
And if you don't prime the crack,
Okay.
you got to prime the crack with really thin before you do this filler.
I think that's probably also why they recommend you use used coffee grounds, because most of the oil is cooked out of it.
I was getting there. I know a guy that shopped all the Royal Castles or one of those places and got used coffee grounds. They thought he was crazy. But
those grounds have to be dried very well if you use used ones.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Gotta
Okay,
be dry.
I don't remember
It
what I
works
used
better
now.
if there's no oil in the used ones.
You know, I don't think I used used ones. I don't think. It's been a while. I don't remember. I don't remember what
Brenda, I
I
always use brand new ones. In fact, I don't even use coffee grounds. I use coffee powder, the real fine ground stuff.
Okay.
It's some that I didn't like once we got it, and so I have the whole package down in my shop. So it's brand new stuff, and I've never had any trouble. But like Eddie said, I usually drizzle some thin in the crack first, then pack in some grounds, and then more thin to start setting it. Then you have to fill in again, build it up.
Okay. All right, I'll try that then.
But you'll want to wait. But you'll want to wait for it to stop moving.
Yes,
because the crack could open up more.
Right. I figure what, 2 months maybe in the sawdust before it's dry enough to turn again.
I'd weigh it and check it.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
You can weigh it.
Put it on your food scale and record the weight.
Go to the post office.
Well, I do got one of them little post office scales.
Yeah, same thing.
So okay. All right.
Yeah, the elm that I had that got harvested in December. It was the end of May, and I had it in brown bags and weighing it. And the end of May is when it all twice turned stuff was good to go. I cored it out in December, and then twice turned it in May.
So 6 months, yeah. All right. Well, I just couldn't wait for, to see what was in this black walnut.
Oh, don't blame you.
Had to open it up.
Yeah, you know me. I'm going to throw my 2 cents in for microwaving it.
Oh, yeah.
It works. I did the first one that way. It worked.
Yeah, microwaving works great.
We need a little more technique on that. Dane, sign him up. We'd like to get somebody to really explain that one night for beginning turners, novice. There's no rookies. Novice turners to understand what happens when you microwave a piece and what the cautions are.
Okay, now I believe that I have sent that document, my write-up of my microwave process, to you guys. It should be on the site already.
Oh, it is? Let's see. Is Dave there? Dave, is it out there?
Yeah, it is definitely there.
Okay.
It's definitely there. All right. Thank you, Matt. Well, that's how we get together. That's how we get together. Matt, do you have any silver maple goblets you can show?
I do, but Bill Louch is in front of me in line there. You want to
Oh, okay.
show first?
Hey, Bill.
Okay, so we're talking about maple. This is what we would call hard or sugar maple up here. It's beautiful, beautiful wood, but you can see there's not a lot of fancy grain in it. And that piece that we saw earlier is just cannot be maple, at least from the maple that I'm used to. This is what hard sugar maple looks like in this part of the world. This piece came from a local sawmill that does some custom carpentry. And I was up there a couple of weeks ago looking for some tabletops, and they've got a scrap bin. And this was a piece of 2x8 cut off the end of something they were working on, thrown in a scrap bin because it had a knot hole right here. And I said to them, I could work around that knot hole. And he said, take it away. So there we have a little hard maple candy bowl free.
Out of scrap wood.
Yeah. Out of his scrap. It's not my scrap.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very nice, Bill.
Yeah.
Somebody else's cast offs. I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah. He gets a Kim Tippin Award for no scrap wood. Doesn't go to waste around here. All right. Who's up?
Me next, I guess.
Go ahead. Next.
All right. Spotlight myself. Share my screen. Share. These are silver maple branches that I made into goblets.
Look at that black ring.
Yeah, and I really love the grain on these, and it's really cool. And I must say that I did super glue the edges with real thin super glue, in the spongy wood. But they sure turn out nice. I love making them.
Yeah, I love that. It's beautiful.
Those are beautiful.
I love that.
And one of the things I like about these is most people are pitching their branches or throwing them in the fire. I can make all kinds of things out of branches, including goblets like this. So, I think I got a video on somewhere. I may have shown that on one of our demos in the last year or so at some point. But yeah, so that's the silver maple I get, and sugar maple looks more like what Bill just showed. So there's a difference between what Bill just showed, sugar maple, and these, which is silver maple. So, and the leaves are distinct too. So,
Matt, what's the approximate diameter of those branches?
They're.
Okay, so they're big. They look pretty big. That's why I was asking, because they could have been smaller. No reference. So.
Well,
Okay,
they're anywhere between like 3 to 4 inches. I want them so I want them goblets, approximately goblet size, so I can leave the bark in. And let me share that again. So what you can do, like the way I do these with the lip, is I want to shave the lip, so I get some bark in the lip, and maybe offset them a little so they're a little. Let me see if I've got. Here's no, that's a. Oh, these are just videos. I'm sorry. Never mind.
I'm gonna try that with some branches. I think they're smaller than that, but it doesn't hurt. I'll try it anyway.
Yeah, it's good to experiment.
I've got some decent videos on YouTube, and I'll throw one in the chat about how I turn these. And so there's some ways to hold them. What is that? There's some ways to hold these. I can't find stuff anymore. I got way too much stuff I've turned. I'll stop sharing. But I'll put my video in the chat so you can see how I turned it. So
Are they green, Matt? Is
oh,
that
yeah,
green?
they were sopping wet. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you can turn them. You can turn them dry. I mean, I just, a lot of wood that I have that I turn is in the shop for years before I get to it. So, but these were sopping wet. I was like, I got to see what these are like.
So those are the ones you give to your friends that you don't really want to come back. Let them drink. Let them drink out of those.
No, these are perfectly usable. They've got about 8 coats of spar varnish, spar urethane on them.
How are you going to drink out of that natural edge?
Very carefully.
That's a sipping glass.
Yeah, the natural edge pieces, they get a premium, man. People love those, so they're popular.
Well, they're art and they look good. And here's the beauty about wood. God didn't make two pieces exactly the same. So when you're looking to get artistic with wood, I can never copy what Matt did. I can use his design in his way. It's an idea and a technique. But remember, you can't copy it. All this thing about copyright designs and all that, if it's in here, it doesn't matter. All right. We got a couple of the folks want to show some things and they've got some stuff they want to show. And if you'd like to show something, put it in the chat. Dane Chandler handles our chat. He's our chat master. And when he calls on you, start talking. Because with 80 or 90 people online, we have a hard time finding you. So that's what it's all about. And it reminds you again, I beat this drum earlier in the evening, but I got a call this week that said, how do I join your club? This isn't my club. It isn't, never was my club. I came back from SWAT 2 years ago with the idea that why isn't there a club made up of only wood turners with no commercial sponsorship, no club to belong to, no dues, no requirements, no restrictions. And that's what you brought. You brought it forward. I mean, you, Ronnie, Trey, David, John, Alan, Andy, Bob, Joaquin, Dane, Johnny, Alfred, Bob. The list goes on and on and on. This is a part of this, what I jotted down from looking at the chat from last week. This is what folks do. And they come on here to share. And we've asked you a couple of times tonight, if you've got a technique, if you got a method, if you have an idea, okay, let's throw it around a little bit. If you have a problem, I mean, Brenda just said she finished that bowl and she put standing sealer on the in and out. Now here on the show, on the meeting, we had Dane jump in and say, okay, let's dry it out. Take the finish off the interior and then let it sit for a period of time and keep checking the weight. And in a period of time, it will lose that moisture and you go back to sanding it out and putting the sealer back on or any other finish you want. But that came out tonight. If you've got a technique or you got a problem, we want to know about it. And you can put it right on the thing. And
Hey,
Doug
Eddie.
Rowe in Arizona, I got to do this first. He can't stay on tonight. He wanted to give a shout out and thanks to Kim Tippin and Dave Dinabetto for pens they sent me this week for Freedom Pens. And if Kim sent him the pens I'm thinking about, those are the two luckiest troops in the entire world. So go ahead, Dane.
Well, I thought I would share my little pieces of maple. We've been talking about silver maple and Manitoba maple.
They grow that in Arizona? You get that in Arizona?
Yeah, I got it from Woodcraft.
Okay.
This type of maple don't grow down here in Tucson. So here's some quilted maple.
Ooh.
Very cool.
Quilted gets some nice chatoyant.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
I got a piece that's quilted like that out of somebody's woodpile once years ago.
I love how you shape those. I seen pictures that you posted of your rolling pin, and I just love how you shape those. Those are like my goal to do that.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so this is for a solid quilted pin that I'm working on. Actually, it's a combo. One pin with the zebra wood pin body with the quilted maple handles, and then another. And I've got a few other orders for some solid quilted maples. So coming in the future. Right now, as you can see on the back of the lathe, I've got a 3-foot pizza rolling pin in process, and that's a piece of apple limb.
Oh, wait, that rolling pin's gonna be 3 foot long?
I'm sorry?
That rolling pin's gonna be 3 foot long?
Yep.
Some big.
Where are they selling this pizza? I want to get in line.
Yeah, that's some big pizza.
I know, right?
I'm allowed 1 slice per year, and that's where I want to be.
Yeah, I can't believe the chef wanted one 3 foot long, but I even asked him twice, are you sure you want it 36 inches long? Because that's long. Seems like it would take 2 people to be able to use it.
I've seen some videos on YouTube over in Japan, like the street food things, and they use they look like long broomsticks. And what they do is they wrap the dough around it, and it's some sort of technique to get like a phyllo dough style. I don't know. You would probably have to search it, but I kind of understand why he wants to do that, because you can also wrap the dough around it, and they do some sort of stretching. They actually use 2 of them and then do some sort of stretching. It's really fascinating to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. So earlier in the week, I had to move the engine hoist over. I had to put the bed extension on and able to do this particular piece. So that was fun to do. Hadn't had to use the bed extension for turning in a long time, and so that was fun. I posted pictures on the Facebook page. I'm sure some of you saw it. So saved the back. Use something else to lift that heavy weight.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going to go to Doug Miller.
Hey, Doug.
There we
Doug,
go.
remember we're a family program.
That's right. We were talking about the coffee grounds a second ago. This is a piece of pimento wood that I got years and years ago. The guy told me it was dry and it was wet as it could be. In fact, turn it around here so you can see it. That hole was inside of the piece, and it was rotten inside of there. And when I hit that and it opened that gap up, water came spewing out of it. Well, the reason I wanted to show you this, you see those 3 main brown streaks going down through there. The 2 on the outside are the natural color. There we go. I'll get the glare off. The big streak going down the center, that's a huge crack that's all been filled with coffee grounds, held in by a CA.
Really?
That piece has been done for, oh golly, it's close to 15 years now since I turned this piece. So,
That
you know,
is gorgeous.
The coffee grounds in CA is a great crack filler. It looks like a bark inclusion or a piece of grain. My wife uses it on the dining room table when we're not eating, just to hold dry flowers in. Weeds, it's a weed pot. But anyway, yeah, it was a neat piece of wood. It was a lot of fun. But the whole reason I wanted to show you was the coffee grounds at that big center streak there. That's all coffee grounds.
If done right and you finish it out right, you'll never know it's in there.
Right. It imitates bark.
Yes. Beautiful piece, Doug.
Well, thank you.
Right. What we have next, Dane?
Hey, Doug, I know we're a wood turning club, but is that my blanket back there on your couch?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
looks like I'm dressed right now.
That's a fleece throw that a lady made for me 7 years ago, and my wife
cool.
used it. I hardly ever get to use it.
All right. Anybody else up, Dane?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
Back to you.
All right. A minute ago, I did a thank you from Doug Rowe about the Freedom Pen package he received from Kim and Devinetto for ink pens they sent. And the ink pens go to Freedom Pens. And Kim gave us a nice push on her video that came out this week as she turned the two pens. I said, gorgeous work. I mean, gorgeous. And gave us a good shout out at Worldwide. I mean, Freedom Pens is not a creation of mine or Worldwide Woodturners. They have been collecting pens for years. We jumped on board with them when Sergeant Joe Kelly was handling it because Joe could collect 1,000 pens a month. But we saw a chance to jump into this program and help generate pens. And the pens we generate go to Doug Rowe, our first sergeant. And he puts them in the troops' hands. And these are troops that are going out to serve to protect our freedom. And it doesn't have to fit their uniform. Remember, they're not in green and black and brown all day long. They do have civilian clothes, and they do sit down and write thank you letters and notes to their wives and all that stuff. And that's when this pen will come in. And every time they use it, they'll think that someone gave them this and thanks for their service. And that's what we have to do. Thank them for their service. So if you want to do a Freedom Pen, you send them right on to Doug Rowe. His address is on our website. And he'll help you out. Yeah. Contact you. His phone number's on the site. We're getting a little bit about grinding wheels and grinding methods on the chat tonight. I maybe mistakenly said, when you buy a grinder at Lowe's or Home Depot, the big box stores, and Ronnie jumped in and said, you only get the rough grind one. And Dane said you can use that for sharpening. Let's put it all in perspective for a second. You're using a grinding wheel on steel. Now, grinding wheel grinds away material. It generates a fair bit of heat, and the degree of the grit will matter on whether you get a good smooth grind or a pointed grind. And what's a pointed grind? Get a magnifier and look at the edge when it's rough, and you'll see the teeth that stand up. Now they're sharp, they feel sharp, but those teeth are standing up. That will impact your cutting and your finish. A finer wheel gives you a smoother edge. It's just as sharper, and that will slice better. And remember, the goal is to slice. And then what will you use for a grit? CBN wheels. CBN stands for can't be nicer. CBN wheels come in different grits. What do you have? The other day I looked, I have a 180 and a 480, and they came from a tool manufacturer. But I know a 180 and a 600 is very common in some turner shops. The 180 is made for reshaping tools. And the 600, that's what you put your edge on with. And you'd be surprised how little steel you throw on the floor and how little heat you generate with a CBN, because it doesn't grind away the material. It slices it away in a different technique. And I mean, I've sharpened tools 2-3 passes, touch my hand with them, and then not even warm. If I did that with tool steel, I'd have some serious marks. Okay. What else we have, Dane?
Let's see. Anybody come in? No, nobody up yet.
Well, I did say I've got a box elder vessel I can show if y'all want to see it.
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
box elder.
All right, this is here. So this is a pretty big one. I don't know, 14 inches in diameter, natural edge.
Really?
Yep. So it was a kind of a, it was, I mean, you can see some of the spalting and the punkiness in it. But the color was spectacular. And
How old are they, Matt?
how long ago did I turn this?
Yeah, how long ago?
4 years ago.
Okay, so the red stayed pretty good. You know, it still looks pretty promising.
Yeah, when I first turned it, the red was brighter. But yeah, it does fade a little bit, but this batch of wood we got was pretty good. So one of my club members has his son is a tree trimmer, and he has a big wood lot. He's got some big equipment, and when he gets some interesting wood, he gives us a call, and we all go over there and spend a couple hours cutting up wood in his wood lot, which is loads of fun, let me tell you. So I got a whole carload of stuff like this from that tree. So
Yeah. Make friends with the tree trimmer.
yeah.
So, what do you have on it for a finish?
That is lacquer. That is about 12 coats of lacquer.
Did it have an inhibitor in it, like a UV inhibitor?
Nope. I mean, it's straight up Minwax gloss lacquer.
Oh, that's got a UV inhibitor in it.
All right. Well, then it does, I guess. Okay.
Okay. Those are some beautiful pieces.
Yeah, they
are. Yeah, this is all the same piece. Different views of the same piece.
I have something,
Nice
Eddie,
job, Matt.
put it in the chat because for some reason I can type stuff, but I can't enter it. So I have to be rude and cut in and say I have something to show. Sorry.
All right, would be rude. Go ahead, lady.
All right. So I am famous for dumpster diving, at least with my family. They know me to be a dumpster diver. And there's a local cabinet company that tosses out scrap wood. It's gold for me and junk for them.
Well, if you use the term scrap wood, we're going to report you.
Yes. And this is a cake stand I made for my parents out of strips of cypress that were thrown in the dumpster. It's beautiful. Sorry, it's really yellow light out here. And I had a local laser company make me some of these monograms, and then I just set them in. This is my parents' initials, and set that in with resin. But yeah, that's made out of dumpster wood. And I actually made 4 of these for Christmas back in 2018 for my family. Everybody in my family got a cake stand with their initials in it. And it was all made out of wood I dug out of a dumpster. So if you have local cabinet companies, call them up and say, hey, I asked permission, obviously, before I jumped in their dumpster. And the owner was delighted that I was taking the wood and using it for something because he felt horrible for tossing it away, but they just don't have space to store it and they have no use for it. And they also have they cut out all of the ambrosia in their maple. They cut out all the knots, and those are the most interesting parts to me, obviously, because they're doing cabinets. So you can get really cool and neat looking pieces out of the dumpster because what we consider, beauty for cabinets, it's trash. So yeah, so that's a good tip. I've made several cake stands out of dumpster wood, I call it.
It's hard to get a good grain match out of wood that's got the character in it.
Yeah.
And you can't put a figured edge on a flat surface. It just looks terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So for us,
When I was in a cabinet making shop 60 years ago, it was a no-no to use bird's eye stuff or what they used to say, twisted grain, warped art and all that. And I wasn't into wood turning at the time. I found the cabinet shop near me and I'd go shop that dumpster every night.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how,
go ahead.
That's how I got into corian. Well, I got into corian. Then I found out that one of my apprentices from a long, long time ago had a corian shop. And I stopped by one day to see if I could get some pieces. And he said, well, fill up the back of your truck. And he did fill up my truck. And the next time I went, I brought my 4x8 trailer and we filled up my trailer. And I'd bring it to the club meetings and just, all right, here you go. Don't even pull raffle tickets. Just take what you'll use. It was great. When I had my brain tumor, my family did me a favor and cleaned up around the back of the shop and all, and that was considered scraps. Oh, I was heartbroken when I got back.
And if you're into making medallions, the knots that they cut out, I just fill them with resin, and man, they make some beautiful necklaces. So all that stuff, there's use for it. Even the birch ply, I've resined the birch ply together and turned really neat things with it. So there's all kinds of.
I saw somebody on YouTube this week that did some little 2 1/4 inch diameter medallions. They were concave on one side and convex on the others. And the chatoyance was so different side to side. And they had them a little swiveling pin. And I thought that is the most beautiful present you can give to a girl for Christmas. And you have a, pardon me, scrap of wood. But boy, did you develop some technique. Think about it. That small and you're going concave, you better be good with a scraper.
Yes.
Thank you, Kim. Appreciate it tonight. All right, we're gonna, oh no, it's unsafe. It is unsafe.
It is unsafe. Let me unmute myself.
You left the door unlocked.
Yeah. You know how you go through these different stages? Like, you're going to do a goblet. So you do a goblet, and then you got to try the captured rings. And this is a Texas ebony. And, but then I was going to do something different with the goblets. I took a piece of green wood. I don't even know what the wood is, but it's kind of curved. And Matt, he's famous for his goblets. I can tell one of his goblets whenever it's posted. But this one here, I don't know what happened to it. When I was doing the captured rings, they all got tangled up.
Oh, if you cut that stem, you can sort them out. Hold that up again.
Yeah, if that's disappointing to you, Joaquin, you can send it to me. I'm happy to have it.
That is so cool.
I'm sure you know how that was done. So
you talk about a demo.
No, how did you do it?
Yes, I have no idea how you did it.
You break the rings, guys.
Yeah, you crack the rings in the end grain part, and you're able to spread it open just enough to slide the other ring in there, and then you put some super glue in it.
Okay.
And so
that's tricky.
That's cheating.
Usually it was kind of glued up here where it would show off, but it just
I was thinking cheating, but I was trying to be nice and just say it was.
Nah, I thought you took a knife and whittled it.
But I was thinking of Matt when I did this.
I would really kept that a secret.
That. Great work, Joaquin. Great work.
Got to get you a new pastime, Joaquin. You thinking about Matt?
Yeah.
Scary.
Good word. I'm talking about goblets.
That's good word.
Joaquin, you don't even think about Doug Rowe, correct?
Yeah.
No.
Then we'd be really worried about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of
I never
Matt,
had a first sergeant like him.
Right?
Yeah. If y'all
Matt's
don't
got
know it,
something else.
Doug Rowe has been on this program with a bikini on.
Oh my God.
Sometimes you can't erase memories.
And he wants us to all go on a cruise together, which I don't think our mind's eye can handle that.
Nope.
You can't make this stuff up.
Didn't you dress up?
I want
Where would
to
they put the
commit.
lathes on a cruise?
I want to put myself in the dumpster diving bunch because I've certainly done that. Furniture people, there's a natural wood furniture store not too far from here that I've gone back behind too with their permission.
I can tell you what, if they ever let us go on a cruise together, they would only do it once.
You got a point, Ronnie.
So this is a piece that I've roughed out that I'm going to be carving, but I also have a stash of corian, and that's corian glued to the bottom of it.
Oh,
So-
nice.
Yeah.
So you can combine your corian extras because there is no scrap. And
Sorry,
sorry,
what do
go
you
on, Kim.
what do you glue your corian to your wood with?
I have used semi-thick CA glue. I have used standard wood glue. If you're going to use standard wood glue or CA glue, I would recommend roughing up the bit of corian that you're gluing to the wood so that it's got something to purchase. Epoxy also works. And yeah, I know you've got plenty of that. So,
Yeah.
but I got a story about the corian. A friend of mine gave me. This is very similar to this is sort of black and speckled. Okay, and when I first started wood turning, I started making pens, and I used to carry around a folder with 20 pens in, and I took one to a family gathering, and my dad said, "Oh, don't you ever make me one of those?" And I said, "Why not, Dad?" And he said, "Well, because I lose pens." And then I started making them out of corian, and he said, "Oh, you got to make me one of those." And I said, "But you told me to never make you one. Why? What are you going to do with this?" And he says, "Well, I'm just going to leave it at home and write big checks with it," he says.
Won't lose it, that's for sure.
Yeah, he had it when he passed last fall. So at 96 or something, he still had it. So it was cool.
Good stuff.
Corian is its own animal, and what I say is, people believe that it's nice and smooth, you can glue it together. That's not the truth. The piece that's not smooth, you might be able to glue together. But if you take the piece, and let me explain, if it's speckled or freckled or whatever, that is going to be closer to the smooth top. So if you do a pen and you put them back to back, you do the rough parts, you're going to find that a lot of that speckling or the texturing is going to be going away in the dust. But if you want to put them together face to face, just take it over to a piece of glass with a piece of sandpaper glued to it. And it could be 400 grit, 320 grit, because you can do it wet, and you rub it flat. And it's what old people that rebuilt motors before would call lapping ahead. When you put a motor head together, you have to have a dead flat surfaces. And you would do this to flatten those surfaces uniformly. And you'd slightly abrade them. And when you put them together, the glue's got something to hold on to, and you're not trying to fill a gap. Remember, glue doesn't fill gaps. We talked about coffee grinds and glue, and that's using it to fill a gap. But if you're putting two pieces of corian together, you don't want to fill a gap. You want it to be so uniform that you can't tell it's more than one piece of corian. That's when you're creating art. I love working with it, really. Some of this pickle with Wayne to get that product is unbelievable. And oh yeah, you can get 2x2 samples at Home Depot and Lowe's in a counter section. You can probably get a pen blank out of each piece. And a lot of weird colors, and they're fun to play with. And they glue together best, my opinion. I use medium thick super glue. I use Star Bond medium thick super glue. Kim uses Star Bond medium thick. She had it on today. So, but it's my preference. You use anything you want, but we're allowed to do some personal preferences here. Gary Avery said he remembers Joe Kelly at Freedom Pens. Joe passed on in 2011. It was a terrible loss to a lot of people, the program and a whole lot. Joe was the most ambitious person in that kind of program I've ever met. He lived and breathed by it, and he had a lot of great people working with him. That's why we want you to work with us. Do we have anybody else for gallery tonight, Dane?
No, that's it for now.
All right, sharing tips and hints is what it's all about. In 11 minutes, I pulled the plug. That's by consensus. We start a little bit before 6 o'clock, and we have to end by 9 o'clock. I don't want anybody to think I have to stay all 3 hours to see something. We try to be slightly repetitive on the good items and explain things as we go along, share tips as we can. And remember, folks,
I am looking for demonstrators. If you can show us, teach us, share with us, ask us. Whatever. I mean, it's all Joaquin's goblin right there. He could have told you he'd turnip that whole thing, but somehow his secret got out. It's like the bottle in a bottle. Who does the bottle in a bottle? You guys, the young man's name, but he does a piece where it looks like there's a piece of a different color inside, and one neck is coming through the other neck, and he's got a video on how to do it, and boiling is involved. So it's great we can share those kind of ideas.
Trent Boss was his
knows.
name.
Who was that?
Trent Boss, I think.
Trent. That was him.
Trent Bosch. Yeah.
Yeah. And when he did, you don't believe he did it. I saw a live video of him online, not live feed, and he was putting a piece in, and it's amazing what he developed in. Maybe it's not his creation, but the way he developed it. It's good. Sharing those ideas is what we're going to do. All right. Anybody else up tonight? Jump in.
No.
All right. A pizza maker. And he'll, in his chat next week, he'll put the name and address of the place that he gave them. Just in case you want to go get a slice of pizza. And we're still looking to develop the wig stands. We saw some tonight, and we've seen photographs a lot more. Whoever showed it tonight, and I remember, folks, I don't do names. I'm terrible at names. I have to have a list of the folks that we work with each week, because if I don't have that, I have to say, you know, whatchamacallit in Arizona, you know, because it's a brain thing. But we promote doing the wig stands, but we want to see photographs of what you do. We have room on our website, we have room in our newsletter, and we'd like you to put on Facebook. Continue. I mean, Ronnie has done 30, and he's going to be at it again when he gets back out in the shop. And he's using what some folks would call scrap wood. He shops to dump the trash piles outside of job sites and picks up that wood. And he can belong to the 2x4 club at the same time. And the clubs, these clubs sometimes are just a tease, just a joke. We have Brenda's Band-Aid grade. When you get cut or hurt, boom, show us, tell us, because it happens. And we'll award you and make you members of the Band-Aid grade. We have the Birdwood, showed it tonight. Somebody won the Birdwood award. We have a 2x4 award. Turn something using 2x4. And oh, by the way, while we're talking here, if you laugh about turning 2x4s, you're missing something. Because 2x4s are normally southern yellow pine or other woods that'll be coarse grained and have absolutely no cellular strength. And what I'm talking about is when you cut it, it's going to tear out and shred and pull out. Let's get past that. That's why you need to turn it. You can learn how your gouges, your skew, your fingernail grind gouges, your beading tools, how all that works on a piece of 2x4. And if you're not happy, you can burn it. All right. Anything else tonight, folks? Matt Harvey says y'all want to see the Corian pens?
That's me.
Who jumped in? All right, jump in there, Matt.
Let me spotlight myself and share
There
my
you're up.
screen to this. Okay, on the left side, the top one, the green one is Corian. The third one down is the black speckled Corian, and the white one, third from the bottom, and the second from the bottom are both Corian also. So these are all
older pictures of pens I made a bunch of years ago. But that black and white speckled corian made great pens. I don't have any of these left. They've all sold. So
They make a lot of great art. And I see you didn't get stuck on that slimline pattern.
no, these are all slimline.
But the pattern,
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Some of them are painted, like the ones on the right. Some of them are painted, and I tried to vary them with a lot of different sort of shapes, and I wanted things that felt good in my hands and so on. So
as if you turn a pen, hold the blank. If it doesn't feel comfortable to you, it won't feel comfortable to the next guy.
right. But those ones on the left side here, number 1, number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The white one and the one below it are all corian.
Beautiful work.
Thank you.
On the left.
Yeah, that was diamond wood, and the short answer, which is it's a dyed birch that you can buy. And the short answer is on this one, I remember exactly what happened with this one. Is I broke one of the blanks. I shattered one of the blanks off the barrel. So I turned a second barrel and used the dust from the one on the left to fill in the 2 little red rings there. Not use CA glue. So I was like, all right, I can recover this. I can make a pen out of this.
That is nice.
So I did a lot of experimenting. So.
And I have to throw this out there, folks. If you think pen turn is kind of cheeky, you haven't played enough. Always
Right.
that beautiful work. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. So.
I used to turn
Thanks,
with a
Matt.
fellow that said that he doesn't turn pens because he likes to turn art. I'm sorry, but that what you just now saw is art. And it
Thank
takes
you.
a lot of technique. And
Thanks
it's
very
a
much,
great way
Eddie.
to practice.
Yeah, they also made, there was this one pen blank, and I don't know if you could still get these, but there was this one pen blank you made that was designed, it was designed to take a bigger piece of wood, and it would stand up on the table. It had at the very base of it was like a 3/4 of an inch or an inch in diameter. And it was, I don't remember what they called it, but it gave you a lot more material to work with. You could make a much bigger pen. And that was a lot of fun. I made 10 of those. It was good fun.
I know what you're talking about. I turned a few as an experiment.
Yeah.
I like them. But you have to use the right wood because they're going to really show off.
Yeah, I think I used cherry on mine and some other stuff. Thank you very much, everyone. That was fun doing. So.
Thank you, Matt. And thanks for sharing with us tonight. And I'm not belittling people that don't turn pens or pushing people to do turn pens. The basis of this program is to share techniques, talents, and art. Now, we can't teach you art. Art's in your heart, your mind. But if you can learn the talents and techniques, and look at this, you're dealing with a 2 1/4 inch piece of wood and a 2-inch piece of wood to do a common trim line pen, which the trim line is just a 7mm sleeve, and you put the wood on it, and then you shape it the way you want. You're not married to the bushings. They have to be there to get a clean joint and put the bands on. But you don't really need the bands. You can make your own.
They don't have to be straight. And people with arthritis or hand issues, sometimes they like bigger pens because it's easier to hold. So, there's a lot of flexibility you can have with those blanks if you just.
For a friend of mine, I turned a pen with one flat side because where he worked at, when he set the pen on a counter, it would roll on the floor. And the only way he found it was on the floor is when he stepped on it. That's an idea to get a little art into your work. 3-sided, that could be done. I tell you what, that's a chucking technique you really need to try. It takes a little creation, but it can be done. And once you build the chuck, you use one like that. All right, folks, we're about to wrap it up for this evening. I really do enjoy you joining us each week. We come back, I'm going to ask you one favor. Tell a wood turning friend where we are and what we do. thanks to Trey, because Trey has arranged for us to have a channel large enough to have more than 100 members with us each week. And these are ideas, thoughts, art, answers to questions, and all that. It all happens right here on Worldwide Woodturners. And our website is open, worldwidewoodturners.org. That's where you can get a connection to us. So this, I can't find it, time to go to our wood turning site. Probably one of the finest wood turning sites in the entire world. I'm not afraid to say that. I think it's absolutely true. So with that, folks, I'm going to wish you a good evening. It's good night, John Boy.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night, Eddie.
Everybody.
Good night, all. Good night, y'all.
Happy turn.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Don't forget to save the chat.